This is Kim, and right at this moment he's getting beaten up by the school bullies. But when the bully looks at his face, he questions himself. Why is that boy smiling? Kim is a cruel villain who has always felt pleasure in killing. But when he finishes strangling someone, something makes time freeze, and he wakes up with everyone is alive again. He keeps questioning what the hell just happened. In the classroom, the same thing happens. He kills all the students, and when he's done, everyone comes back to life, leaving him confused, not understanding why everyone he kills keeps respawning.
What the fuck was that?
So he starts doing some experiments, killing some students to figure out how long it takes for them to respawn. His next experiment is committing suicide to find out if he'll be resurrected too. So he stops his heart and takes a deadly fall. Him be like,
Man, I'm dead.
After a while, he opens his eyes, and there was a man helping him. When he speaks, the guy is shocked that he's alive after that fall. After the experiments, he decided to follow a different path. He believes someone is doing this to him, so he decides to kill everyone until he finds the right person. Then he turns on school shooting mode and starts killing everyone with no mercy. But again, someone turned back time and brought everyone back to life, proving that nobody in that classroom was doing it. Kim was heading to the next classroom to do another attack. He pulls out a notebook page with his power and starts his massacre, ripping off everyone's heads. One boy stayed alive. Kim grabs a sharp rock and throws it at him. When the stone was about to hit him, time freezes at the perfect moment, managing to save his life. Yeah, that's right. This is the kid who's been reviving all the victims. His name is Kang, and he's just a scared boy who was treated like OF girl by bullies, but with a good heart, wanting to help the people who were killed. Until this moment, his power was to revive, not to stop time and be the only one able to move. Time started slowing down for him too, and got to the point where he couldn't move anymore. Suddenly, he wakes up in the middle of class screaming like a maniac. Everyone stares at him and calls him a weirdo. When Kang looks at the clock, he realizes time went way back. Meanwhile, Kim was weakened and wondering what that was, saying that this time the time loop was pretty different because he doesn't remember anything that happened. Unlike Kim, Kang remembers everything and was running as far away as possible. When he thought he'd gotten enough distance, Kim appears walking down the hallway like Jason Voorhees. Kang starts begging internally that he doesn't come his way, but Kim turns and enters a classroom, which is even worse because he's gonna do his massacre again. To prevent this from happening, Kang decides to run down the hallway toward the fire alarm and pulls it to make all students leave the classroom and prevent the massacre. And when all the students are leaving the school, Kang watches Kim, trying to figure out what he's gonna do now. But Kim thinks better and decides to do nothing. Plus he realizes someone's trying to stop him, and that he'll find out where they're hiding. Kim was impressed by his rival's move. The next day, Kim reflected on everything that happened and wondering why he doesn't remember before the time loop. A noise starts coming from behind the door. When he opens it, he sees a group of bullies with a student. Kim hides and just watches, but when he saw up close, he realized his friend was in deep trouble. Kim spent the whole day killing this friend of his, so calling him a friend is a bit of a stretch. While the bullies hold his arms so they can beat him up, Kim stays hidden just watching. Only after his friend got kicked, punched, beaten down, hammered, stomped on, that's when Kim decides to help. So Kim walks up to the bullies. His friend hears someone coming and looks up hopeful, seeing his friend. But Kim, simply with a button from his jacket, shoots straight into his friend's chest, killing him.
It's pretty difficult to put into words how disgusted I am.
Everyone was staring at him, completely confused. But the moment they all rush toward Kim, time was frozen and then time restarts to before his friend starts getting beaten. This time, he had a plan. Right when the bully gets ready to hit his friend, Kim uses his power to change the direction of the broom swing toward the fat kid's head. The whale gets pissed and the two start fighting each other. Fat Boy decides to play a game called Barley Rice Game. Both will throw a punch at the same time. If the kid can stop the bully's punch, he wins and walks away free. Since he doesn't have much choice, he accepts. The whale comes at him with full force, but the kid in pure rage returns the punch and manages to stop the bully's hit, winning the game. The bullies leave and finally let him be. Lying on the ground relieved, he starts hearing footsteps. When he looks to the side, he realizes his friend Kim was there the whole time. Walking through the city streets, Kang is very reflective. He knows there have been 2 time loops recently. The first was when he was attacked, and the second when time stopped. Without knowing what's causing this, he knows he can heal people, and that the other student likes to kill people. Every time he heals someone, time goes back. Kang is starting to consider the idea that the protagonist might be a killer. Completely distracted by his thoughts, Kang thought someone had called him. But when he looked at the source of the sound, he realized they weren't talking to him. Some thugs are bothering students. One of them just asked for a cigarette. Not liking the extra's response, the thug said he needs to learn a lesson. That was more than enough for the student to decide to hand over a cigarette. Kang is going to completely ignore that because he's afraid of getting involved in that beating session. At night, he is at his part-time job. Still thinking about what happened, Kang believes that time resets every time the killer does something. If this hypothesis is correct, and if he always does this, it might be because he enjoys it. But the boy has many doubts. He believes the killer doesn't do it for fun. He still remembers those words. Kim wished for the time manipulator to die, and having remembered this term for this one to open only, time manipulation is something else. It will allow him to go back to the past. Certainly, the killer must be looking for someone like that, which is why he killed all those people. Kang was confused in this way, and he doesn't know the reason. It remains to be discovered why the killer is going so far to find the time manipulator. Kang thought it would be better to ignore everything, as the killer shouldn't remember him. Back to the mountain of muscles, he sat on the ground and asked why Kim is there. Because he should have gone home. Showing great concern, he asked if everything was okay with the protagonist. And showing great anger, Kim grabbed him by the shirt. He wants to know why this person cares so much about him. Even when he was about to die, he still warned the protagonist to run from that place. The Mountain of Muscles was confused by this statement, telling me they are friends. Kim told him to stop this nonsense immediately. It's time for him to tell the truth and say who he is. It was then that the Mountain of Muscles asked Kim if he still kills pigeons. Our protagonist was very confused by that question. Another flashback. A strange boy is sitting on the ground. And the younger version of the Mountain of Muscles approached this strange boy. It's our protagonist, who has always been strange. The Mountain of Muscles told him not to worry, because he hadn't told anyone. Since our protagonist is his savior, only then did the protagonist connect the dots about the person he met in the hospital. Turning his back on the Mountain of Muscles, he returned to the question about pigeons. He stated that he no longer takes the lives of these small creatures. He prefers to kill humans. This statement left the Mountain of Muscles shocked. He didn't understand it. Kim said something very fun would happen at school the next day, and suggested that the Mountain of Muscles not show up if he wanted to stay alive. An elderly woman is carrying recycling material in the square. She realized it's not enough, and it's already time for her grandson to come home. She needs to return soon. In the same place, those thugs are still there, commenting on what happened earlier, until one of them noticed the elderly woman approaching. She went there to collect the trash, but the thug didn't like it because she took that material without asking for permission. The elderly woman continued working normally. Then, the jerk suggested she was deaf. Since he is a big loafer, he decided to throw her things on the ground. Quite frightened, the elderly woman said she doesn't hear very well and didn't know it belonged to the young man. This young degenerate said she is completely crazy. His friends are validating this kind of useless behavior. As a rain of crap is never a drizzle, the leader of the thugs asked for a lighter. Right after that, he prepared to set fire to all that cardboard. The poor lady couldn't do anything about it. She tried to stop the students, but all she got from that was being assaulted. At the same time, the thug threw the fire towards the recyclable material, to the despair of the elderly woman who had worked all day to collect that. Now she is losing her material because of the fire. All this while these thugs watch the bonfire. Elsewhere, Kang is walking. He received his salary that day and is thinking about what he could buy. It was then that he saw what was happening in the square. The boy ended up being speechless. Those thugs are throwing more cardboard into the bonfire. All this while the lady watches without reaction. To make matters worse, she is our boy's grandmother. There is nothing left, only ashes of what she had collected. Kang went to her very worried, asking what had happened. The elderly woman asked him not to worry about her, telling the boy to return home. Kang is still deeply concerned. It was then that someone interrupted the conversation. The leader of the thugs said they are having fun now and suggested the boy listen to his own grandmother. Pulling Kang by the hair, the thug asked if the boy wants to play too. The elderly woman asked for her grandson to be released, as she was the one responsible for making that mistake. Disgusted by those wrinkled hands, the thug kicked the elderly woman, leaving Kang completely worried. The poor thing is in a lot of pain. All this while her grandson, who is a complete coward, is wondering why this is happening. Showing that he lacks courage, he asked the thugs why they are doing this. It was then that someone poured something on his head. One of those offenders said that because of the old lady, he had lost all his alcohol. For God's sake, this guy likes to be humiliated. What a useless kid. To make matters worse, the leader of the thugs just kicked his head. Honestly, I'm already rooting for the thug. This Kang is very cowardly. The can that had hit the boy's head fell to the ground. Now the leader of the thugs is lamenting, saying he wanted to hit the can but ended up hitting that useless guy's head, who is now being kicked by all of them. Kang is really a machine for being humiliated. Even so, he is still thinking about his old grandmother, almost losing consciousness after that massage session. The boy's body decided to shut down. Elsewhere, our protagonist walked to an abandoned property. It was time to use his powers once again. He lifted a container as if it were nothing. It even looks more like one of those pens. Kim believes that should be more than enough. He placed one container on top of the other. Everything is part of his preparation for the next day. It should be enough to take down everyone at school. After that, Kim returned to his house. His parents are very entertained because they are expecting another child. Upon realizing the boy had arrived, the father told Kim to go have dinner, as they had already eaten. Kim thanked his uncle, said he had eaten with some friends. Oh, what a different family. The woman told our protagonist to call him Dad, but the man said it's okay, she shouldn't stress about it. The two went back to being entertained with the pregnant belly, as the baby is kicking. Kim is unwrapping a package. That rice meal is his dinner for the day. The next day, at school, they are going to have a safety education class to learn how to react in case of earthquakes and fires. Back at the square, the old lady is very worried. Her grandson had just taken a beating. Kang got up very worried, wanting to know if his grandmother had been hurt. The boy began to apologize to her for what had happened. It's all his fault, as he had passed by those thugs earlier and didn't call the police. In that same city, the man is returning from work. He called his son because he has good news to share. As it is his birthday, he apologized for being late. While on this call, someone bumped into this man, and the package he was carrying fell to the ground. The thugs did this on purpose, because they were sure that man was a coward. Looking at the jerks, the family man said they should at least apologize. This made the thug approach him in a very intimidating manner. Gathering the little courage he has, the family man said that thug should apologize. Annoyed by this courageous stance, the thug decided to grab him by the jacket. Completely panicked and not knowing what to do, the family man apologized and started to flee. However, in this story, if something can get worse, it always will. The thug is chasing the fleeing family man, managing to grab him by the hair. It was time to hit him with violence, but a hooded figure appeared at the last moment to protect that family man. The thugs don't know what's happening, and that hooded figure seems to be exerting a lot of force to hold this blow, which ended up leaving the thug quite confused. It was then that a mysterious energy began to run through his hand. This ended up leaving the thug very scared. While he remains confused by this, his accomplice asked the hooded figure what he is doing. Referring to the family man, the hooded figure said he should run now. A fierce battle took place on that street. The thug kicked the vigilante's stomach, who ends up falling to the ground on his knees. As the family man still hadn't fled, the thug ordered him to remove the hood from that person. Quite irritated by what had happened, that first thug approached the vigilante, and once again had his hand held by him. The mysterious energy began to run through his body, and that seems to have caused some kind of discomfort to the thug, who is feeling deep and agonizing pain. In no time he fell to the ground, and his accomplice doesn't seem to have understood anything that happened. And the first thug is now foaming at the mouth, completely unconscious. Only then did his accomplice realize that something had happened. Quite furious, he decided to vent his anger on the vigilante, removing his hood with a few slaps. Quite worried about what happened to his accomplice, the thug asked what kind of joke that was, but Kang doesn't respond. He just wiped the blood dripping from his mouth. Earlier that same night, he took his grandmother home. The boy is still shaken by what had happened. For God's sake, what a miserable life the guy has. His mother is in a wheelchair, and she told the young man not to worry. However, Kang says it's all his fault, and it's true. He's too weak and needs to learn to stand up for himself. Concerned about the young man, his mother said she had already warned him about this, and he shouldn't blame himself so much. What happened is not his fault. However, something had changed inside that coward. Kang put on a hood and a mask. He went out through his bedroom window and started flying, looking for unjust situations. Our boy is determined. Someone will be used to cleanse his conscience. The thugs soon recognized Kang, and they asked if that old lady who looks like a witch sent the cowardly boy there. This comment ended up making Kang even more irritated. The thug really believes he came to take revenge because of the old lady. Without thinking twice, Kang tried to grab him with his hand, but the thug managed to dodge it, which left Kang quite exposed. He was soon hit by a punch. That made him stagger backward. Then, his liver was also crushed. Kang flies backward like a poor wretch. While stepping on the boy's hand, the thug asked him to hand over the stun gun he was using secretly. Kang began to glow with his energy. He will take advantage of the contact with the thug's foot to use his powers. In no time, the filthy soul began to scream in pain. Kang still managed to grab him by the arm, causing that thug to feel deep agony. Our boy said he's not doing it for revenge. It's to stop those people from making more victims. Even so, the thug remains outraged. Kang increases the dose of suffering, and the thug is already begging for it to end. Letting go of the poor guy's hand, Kang told him to stop exploiting the weak as he usually does. Watching closely as the thug walks away, As soon as he reached a safe distance, showing he's a true coward, the thug told our boy to go to hell. Finally, Kang could breathe a sigh of relief, but there's still one left. There were 3 thugs in the square. The family man ended up thanking our boy. He was also curious and asked where the stun gun was. Kang said he didn't use any of that. It was just a self-defense technique. He also asked the family man to return home safely. Kang is quite euphoric. He can't even believe he helped someone. Back at school the next day, the students are learning to use a fire extinguisher. The firefighter is going to give them a small demonstration. He asked those students how long they could use that instrument. The firefighter said it's only 15 seconds. Among all the students, the muscular boy noticed that the protagonist is absent. Having heard that grim recommendation, he is genuinely worried. Kim is flying over the top of the school. In his company are some containers. Kang is getting beaten up again. He is being intimidated by a thug about what happened the previous day with another student. He must pretend nothing happened. It's about the obese man's hand that got hurt. Kang is also involved in that. One of the ways he has to exploit Kang is because of what happened at school when that student decided to end his own existence. Kang ended up agreeing with all the recommendations. Now that the thugs are talking, they asked what the obese man's next move will be. It was then that Kang saw the containers flying through the air, and in their company as a person, that scene would be frightening for anyone. It didn't take long for the thugs to realize that Kang is very distracted. They decided to look up too. But what they felt was something absurd. Their bodies are out of control. Kang is responsible for that. He had put the 2 to sleep. Returning to observe the containers, he began to wonder if they would be thrown at the school. Inside the gym, the muscular boy spoke with his friend. He would like to know where Kim, our weird protagonist, is. The girl said he must be sleeping or doing something else. She doesn't care about that. However, the muscular boy has a very bad feeling about that day. Kim's only goal is to attack in the right way so that no one survives, in the hope of finding the one who manipulates time, putting an end to these journeys to the past. The containers are dropped by the protagonist. Kang watches everything with great fear. He will not let something like this happen to all his colleagues. Kim seems to be trying to speed up the containers. Finally, the crash happens against the school. Kang watches it completely powerless. One of the debris started to approach him. Kang has little time to react. Inside the gym, all the students went into despair. The muscular boy looks back, quite worried. He just watches the destruction approaching everyone. While trying to escape, he ended up tripping over one of the debris, making him an easy target for the concrete raining from the sky. It was then that his friend pulled him by the hand, saying they can't stand still. A few seconds later, a large concrete block fell where he was. Kang's hands were taken by an inexplicable power. He managed to hold that debris coming towards him, but it was too heavy for him. Then the boy threw the concrete block to the side. However, he was very furious now. Going up to the sky where our protagonist is, he asked him to stop this. Kim was already expecting this encounter and asked who that person was. Kang was very surprised to realize that all of this was done just to be found. Observing the boy's uniform, Kim could identify that he is in the 2nd year, but he ended up seeing something else with his eyes too. The muscular boy was crushed by a piece of concrete. Our protagonist was not expecting something like this to happen. Kang tries to say that he is not the person the protagonist is looking for and told him to stop this. If that's the case, Kim said he must die immediately, causing several small pieces of concrete to pierce his body. Kang felt that those wounds were really concerning. His body started to fall towards the ground. But with this, Kim could understand that he had looked for the wrong person, which makes him even more frustrated and furious. Because time would rewind once again. Kang returned to the moment when he was being harassed by the thugs. But things happened differently. A ball hit the obese guy's face, and it also hit the other thug's face. Both are now lying on the ground. Kang watches carefully what had happened. The ball returned to a boy's hands. Kim decided to approach Kang this time. However, the scared boy doesn't know how he was found. Now that they are together, Kim seems very interested and asked who he is, because he is sure that the time loop from the previous day was caused by him. Kang is still quite scared with all those questions. He felt something trembling on his back, and when he looked back, he saw several pieces of concrete, which are now pointed at his neck. Kim suggested that the boy evacuate his friends from that place. He doesn't know if Kang is the one responsible for stopping him, and every time a time loop happens, he can also feel it. Kang is very confused because he doesn't remember everything, but that boy seems to retain the memories. Even so, he knows that Kim takes some lives and believes he does it to find the person responsible for the time loop. Kang said he is also a victim of it. He was unable to save a person. Kim was surprised by this. He can't believe it's possible to save a dead person. Giving more details, Kang said that every time he does this, time rewinds, so he wants to help too. They need to find a way out of that time loop, asking the protagonist to stop ending people. Kim doesn't seem to like this proposal. He doesn't know how he could be helped, because the only thing he needs to do is keep killing until he finds the right person. Completely coerced, Kang said something strange happened the day before. Time had rewound more than usual. It might be that the time loop they made together. Kim seems to have become interested in this and asked for explanations. Kang said that this is just a hypothesis, but he is sure that time rewound much more than usual because he revived the teacher. Kim wants to know all the details about this. Everything happened when the attack started. Kang was very worried about the teacher and brought her back to life, even knowing it would be useless. Soon after, he was attacked, which triggered the time loop, but something strange happened. The first thing that happened was the freezing of time. Everyone was frozen, except for Kang. Only later did he realize that time was moving very slowly. After that, it was as if reality was cracking, as if a time loop was being activated within another. That was the sensation he had. Listening to that attentively, Kim began to wonder if it is possible. Upon returning, Kang realized he was at the beginning of the class. Normally, he would have been taken to the moment when the teacher died. Kim said that if this is true, the last person to trigger the time loop is the one who retains the memories, because he can't remember anything, and that might be correct. Kang raised the possibility that the last person not only retains the memory, but is responsible for everything. Kim had not yet considered that the time loop could be taken over and began to think if this could happen frequently. It really is an interesting hypothesis. Satisfied with that conversation, he dropped the pieces of concrete, but he said he would only believe it when he checked personally. After all, Kang said he would help him with this task. To put the hypothesis into practice, Kang must revive those thugs after our protagonist deals with them. Quite scared, Kang asked why they had to do things this way. Kim said that after being revived, they would be killed once again, so he would remain with the time loop, making it clear that what they are doing is just an experiment. Kang is still very scared. He doesn't want to contribute to the death of a person. Kim said those jerks usually torment him, and he doesn't need to feel guilty about those lives. Even knowing they are not good people, Kang is not comfortable with the idea of taking lives. He is at his limit. Kim realized there is no other option. He will take those lives and wait for Kang to do something. The boy didn't like this hypothesis. However, the protagonist is already decided. He is only killing the trash. Before that happened, Kang stood in his way and said he wouldn't help him that way. Ignoring this threat, Kim said he would kill a boy first, throwing a leaf in his direction. Before being hit, Kang used his powers to defend himself, managing to completely stop that leaf. Kim realized at that moment that the boy doesn't possess just one ability. Completely furious, he grabbed a few more leaves because he didn't like knowing the boy was hiding his own powers. A much more voluminous attack has just been executed, leaving Kang truly terrified. To avoid being hit, he had to go into the air, but the protagonist is determined to finish him off. Those projectiles changed direction and are following Kang, who now needs to strive to keep living. Still in the air, he used his powers on one of those projectiles, returning it violently in the direction of the protagonist. It passed close to his face, leaving a small cut. Completely exhausted, Kang descends for them to stop. He doesn't want to continue fighting. Furious, Kim said that if he doesn't want to fight, he should just cooperate. And to get this cooperation, he began to strangle a boy using his powers. It was then that Kang said there might be another way, but the protagonist no longer wants to listen to him, just told him to shut up. Trying to coerce the boy, Kim said he must choose a side, giving him a deadline for a response, which will end that night. He recommended that he do as ordered, or his entire family would die. After that, Kim lifted Kang's body a little more, just to throw him to the ground. The conversation between them ended intensely. Kang is still trying to process everything that happened. His eyes are slowly closing. The impact against the wall was too much for him. That same day at school, a transfer student just arrived. She introduces herself to everyone and has a very strange name, so she will be called Helena. Her beauty quickly catches the attention of the extras. Helena is very enthusiastic and hopes to get along with everyone. As she grew up in another country, she is not as skilled as they are. A very enthusiastic extra started clapping, while his colleague ended up waking up with all that noise. Kim is still thinking about the experiment. He hopes it will be a success so that he can get closer to the one who manipulates time. His true intention is to take advantage of this and manage to end this mysterious person. The only option for him is to make this work. Lost in his thoughts, he didn't notice that Helena is looking directly at him. At the end of that day, Kang called his mother. He is already returning home after working, and he was very surprised to discover that Kim had gone to his house. Knowing the threat that had been made, he became very worried. Kang entered his own house quite scared of what might have happened. He was soon greeted by his mother, who found all that haste strange. He was soon informed that everything is fine with his grandmother and that his friend is waiting for him. Kang approaches his own room furiously, just to see Kim playing with some objects. Kang is still furious. He didn't like finding out that the protagonist had gone to his house. He got the boy's address from his ID when he lost consciousness that day. Even though he was threatened, Kang asked that idiot to leave his house. Kim is playing with some apple slices that Kang's mother had cut for him. Completely furious, Kang tried to kick that weirdo out of his house, but a fork flew past his head. Kim apologized for missing. Outside, the boy's mother asked if everything was okay, which made Kang worried. On the other side, Kim wants to know if he thought about the proposal. But no matter how much he insists, Kang doesn't want to kill anyone. At that moment, something started happening there. A time loop. Kim was puzzled by Kang's surprise, saying he had killed the boy and his mother a short time ago. This leaves Kang quite confused and completely furious because the protagonist is truly a despicable, useless person. Kim said the next victim would be the boy's grandmother. Kang said his hypothesis might be completely wrong and that experiment makes no sense. Kim said the experiment is essential. Only then can he find the responsible one. Kang realized he is referring to the one who manipulates time, and as far as he knows, Kim had already shared this information with Kang. His plan is to keep messing with the time loop until time itself becomes disturbed, believing this is a way to bother the time manipulator. Kang can't even believe how many lives this animal wants to take. Knowing he won't change his mind, he only suggested that he go home now, because he would cooperate. Standing up, Kim said he would inform the place and time the next day, and he will decide who could be the test subject. He already has a very interesting person in mind. Kang told him not to threaten his family again, or things would get complicated. Making his way home, Kim is fiddling with his phone. He seems to have found another potential victim, that girl who is always by Kang's side. Now it seems we are taken to another flashback. When Kang's mother brought the sliced apples, Kim thanked her for that kindness with his evil smile. Wanting to know more about Kang's life, he asked when his father would come home. The boy's mother said her husband passed away 5 years ago in an accident. But it's all right now. They've overcome it, and she asked Kim to keep waiting. Before she left the room, Kim had a few more questions to ask, if Kang had any kind of girlfriend. After thinking for a bit, she said her son never went out with any girl. But Kim saw a photograph there, where his friend is next to a girl. Showing the photo to his mother, he asked if she knew this person. The mother immediately recognized the girl and said she was Kang's younger sister. They have a 3-year age difference. For family reasons, she has lived with her aunt since she was 10 years old. Kim noticed they look very similar. Right after that, he made some cutlery levitate, stating that the woman must tell him which school the girl attends, because he has something very important to do now. As he moves away from that house, Kang watches him from his bedroom window. He is sure something happened to his mother, and will never forgive that jerk for what he did. Kang's mother noticed her son's uniform is all torn. She asked what happened, but the boy remains completely silent. He said he had tripped on his way home, which made the woman ask if he was still being bothered by other students. She would like him to open up more, but Kang doesn't share this kind of thing with her. The elderly woman also appeared in the room, asking if she could help him with the uniform since she knows how to sew. Kang ended up accepting that kindness. He asked if his grandmother wanted a foot massage, but she told the boy to go study. Kang feels very pressured now and promised himself he would protect them. Later, he went out to the street in disguise to better understand his powers. He also doesn't know how he did that earlier. Kang's intention wasn't to master that projectile. He ended up doing it without realizing it. Picking up a small stone from the ground, he decided he would try to do it again. He put a bit of his mysterious power into it, but the stone fell to the ground, with nothing special happening. Kang is still trying to understand how that happened. He doesn't know if he needs to use his entire arm to achieve the same goal. Even so, he continued trying to manipulate his powers, until finally the stone was thrown violently, leaving behind an impressive trail of destruction. Kang is impressed because he can do the same thing as that disgusting jerk. However, he needs to keep practicing with even heavier objects. In that construction site, there is no shortage of iron pieces. He tried to use his power to move one of them, but it ended up repelling him away. Kang realized he is still not capable of doing something like that. Everything he throws in the direction of that jerk is defended. Kang also realized he doesn't know how to defend himself. After being captured that day, he understood that he is defenseless. He needs to think of a way to react. Being able to attack only with his hands, he needs to be quick. It would be better if he could avoid those attacks. While he thinks about this, he didn't notice he is being watched. A mysterious figure is hidden in the shadows. That obese thug is on top of a building, waiting for someone to arrive. Another flashback, he was unconscious, and the muscular boy woke him up. But the chubby guy woke up irritated, and the muscular boy is speaking very loudly. Only then did he realize he is lying on the ground. Just like another of his subordinates, he doesn't remember what happened. The muscular boy tries to analyze everyone, but before touching one of those thugs, the obese guy put his hand in the way. At that moment, He said he has something to say and told them to meet on the terrace that night. He also told the muscular boy not to be afraid, as they won't fight, but he should come alone. Now the obese guy is waiting for his arrival. He heard someone's footsteps and assumed it was that muscular boy, but what he saw with his eyes is a mysterious energy. Completely scared, the chubby boy dropped his cigarette on the ground. The mysterious person continues approaching him, and the obese guy is sure that it's something crazy and quite scared. He asked this person not to come closer. Leaning on the railing, he did so with his injured paw. He ended up feeling a lot of pain, and his large heavy body ended up losing balance, descending towards the ground like a meteor. Later, the muscular boy also went to the terrace and apologized for being late as he sneaked out of the house. Inspecting the place, he realized he was completely alone. The naive boy assumed the obese guy had left, so he decided to call him. For God's sake, I hate this character. He's so dumb. His ear separator is only good for that. A sound from the cell phone can be heard by him, a sign that the chubby guy is nearby. Going to the railing, because he followed the sound, the naive boy saw something frightening. The obese guy's body is sprawled on the ground, like a large pizza. That scene filled him with dread. The next day, some extras are casually chatting at school, but one of them noticed something different. The muscular boy is quite introspective, in total silence. Kim is also another who remains silent, and that girl is not used to it. She approached the muscular boy, who is quieter. He hadn't even spoken to Kim. Responding to her, he said he couldn't sleep last night. And continuing the conversation, she asked if something had happened. The chubby guy still managed to be rescued by the doctors, but his little head is crooked. It will need very severe body work. Most likely the enemy of light meals won't appear here again. My jokes with him have come to an end. Hiding behind his own arms, the naive boy said it would be better not to share what happened. Now, besides being worried, his friend is quite curious. Looking at our protagonist, she started thinking about what he is doing, because the boy doesn't stop looking at the picture of a girl on his cell phone. Realizing it's a girl, she was quite startled. She believes Kim is a psychopath, and that kind of behavior is very strange coming from him. Several thugs entered the room at that very moment, and they started attacking the muscular boy, without warning. Even that girl, who will be called Stacy, was hit. However, the muscular boy managed to prevent her from falling. Quite upset, she asked what those thugs are doing there. They should fight outside. Kim also started paying attention to all this confusion. That's when one of the thugs asked what had happened. The muscular boy said the obese guy wanted to meet with him, but when he arrived at the place, things had already happened, so he called for help. But that thug doesn't believe it, saying the naive boy must have been at fault. Now, the obese guy is in the intensive care unit. Stacy became worried and asked her friend what they were talking about. She can't believe he had done something like that. While they are discussing, Kim decided to start taking action. In the company of the delinquents, the naive boy went to tell what happened. He said he told the same thing to the police, and his parents also went there. Now the delinquents seem calmer. That version is really very plausible. One of them realized he could have figured it all out earlier, but his mother didn't wake him up. He even apologized for the misunderstanding. The naive boy is about to shake hands with him, but the delinquent rejected it, saying he would never do something like that. He won't believe that version until the obese one wakes up. As there was nothing more to say, the naive boy is leaving. One of them asked if he will tell the truth to Kim, but that comment made the naive boy very irritated. That has nothing to do with his friend Kim, and he didn't even want to have talked to these delinquents. However, one of those jerks is still upset. The naive boy believes everything happened because of him. As the obese one's hand got hurt, the delinquent didn't know about this detail, and the naive boy said he didn't want to fight. But that day he ended up losing control, and he told these delinquents not to touch Kim. Things would get complicated. As they are suspicious of everyone, they believe Kim could have pushed the obese one. But for the naive boy, that is completely impossible. However, he is one of the few who knows that other side of Kim. This made him think a lot. The expression of surprise took over his face, increasing the curiosity of the delinquents. Then, the boy who is lazy to think said it was nothing. Moving away from him, the delinquent said he becomes very reactive when they talk about Kim. They must be dating. One of them answered the phone, but the naive boy remains very thoughtful. Finally, it seems something is happening in this ear separator. He is remembering the advice he had received not to go to school that day. Once again, Kang is being harassed. This time he is being interrogated by some delinquents. They want to know if he is involved in what happened to the obese one. One of those jerks is sure Kang is involved somehow, and they asked what he did last night. Kang said that after he left work, he went back home. While being beaten, they asked which house he had returned to. If he didn't answer the right way, he would continue to be beaten. Now the delinquents are thinking about people who could have done that to the obese one. There is someone who has a personal grudge against him, that person who had ended his own life at school. It could be that his ghost appeared, but one of those delinquents started to smile about it. While they are talking about it, Kang seems to be in another world. In an elementary school, two girls are having their meal. One of them took some pills, and her friend asked why she needs to take them. The other girl said they are just medications to make her even more beautiful. Taking them, she can become thinner and her skin even smoother. For God's sake, prepubescent girls suffering aesthetic pressures. Interested in this miraculous medication, the little girl asked for a pill too. Her friend said it's a psychiatric drug. While they talk about this topic, someone ended up calling for Jin. It's a very agitated boy who has been ignored by her. Jin said they are no longer dating and she would like to be left in peace. The other girl didn't know they had broken up, but the little delinquent won't let things end that way. Then she asked if she should expose everything he did to her, and immediately pushed the jerk's hand away, saying he is about to face great embarrassment. The little delinquent got angry, but preferred to stay away. But the gossip was already happening. Outside, Jin's friend asked if she had been beaten. The girl said it happened more than once. No one imagines that boy is a jerk, and she has been having very difficult days. That's when her friend said she is also worried about something. Her aunt's birthday is happening that week, and she doesn't know what to give as a present. Jin said she gave a collagen supplement to her mother. The problem is that it's a bit expensive, but Jin said it's not that expensive. She asked why her friend likes her aunt so much, discovering she was raised by her since she was 10 years old, until someone called for Kang Min, saying her brother is there. The girl went to the meeting point quite enthusiastically, but upon arriving there, she hadn't found her brother. It's the oddball Kim who is already waiting for her, and looking at him, Kang Min asked who he is. Introducing himself politely, Kim said he is a friend of her brother. But the girl wants to know where her brother is. Kim said he went out to buy something because he has something to deliver to her. And immediately Kang Min asked if it's a present for her aunt. Kim said he doesn't remember the details, but he was instructed to wait for him at a nearby cafe. He asked if it's okay to be accompanied by her, and the girl ended up agreeing. The two are following the path. After some time walking, Kim asked if the girl could call Kang. She immediately took out her phone to do so. Kim pretended that the boy had arrived, which made his sister a little distracted. Shortly after that, Kim began to use his powers. He is now trying to strangle this girl, who started to agonize, calling for her brother. Due to the strangulation, she ended up losing consciousness, letting her phone slip from her hands. But knowing that such a device is expensive, Kim prevented it from breaking, holding the girl's body in his arms. Kang is sitting in a square. He found out that the obese guy is in critical condition, and he knows the naive boy wouldn't do something like that. He is sure that Kim was responsible for it. Certainly, he did it to use the fatty as a guinea pig. He just didn't understand why he pushed him off the roof. He should have killed him if he really wanted to conduct a test. Thinking of all the possibilities, Kang is getting even more irritated. It was then that he received a call from his sister. He answered with great joy. But that soon changed, as he heard the voice of a stranger on the phone. It belongs to the biggest jerk of all, Kim. Kang stood up in fury, asking how that had happened. Kim told him that he is going to use that girl as a guinea pig for his tests. For that to happen, she needs to die. Kang is trying to figure out how this animal discovered he has a sister, because he had even changed the wallpaper on his phone, so they could think they are dating. But Kim found out through the boy's mother he had to kill her 13 times to find out which school she attends. That was the last straw for Kang. He wants to know where this jerk is. Kim said he just sent the location to him, and they will put this into practice step by step. If Kang doesn't want to end up with his own sister, Kim already has something prepared. He also noticed that the young man is very injected. He doesn't even seem like the same Kang, who is always the victim. Kim said they will meet at the hospital. As soon as the call ended, the rain began to fall from the sky. Kang can't believe this is happening to his sister, so he swore he will protect her. Finally, he arrived at that abandoned hospital. Desperate, Kang began to call for his sister. He searches for her but finds nothing. The boy runs through the corridors in despair, without realizing that someone is hiding in the shadows. This person is armed with a stick and is already prepared to hit Kang on the head. At the last moment, the boy managed to dodge it, but he still doesn't understand who his attacker is, until his eyes finally realized what had happened. A person is floating in the air while holding that stick. This is a disturbing scene for anyone. Kang has no idea what's happening. Observing that body more closely, Kang is wondering if this man is dead. But he soon remembered his first objective and began to call for Kim, who must be hiding in this place. Soon after that, the man floating in the air tried to hit him once more. Kang realized that this blow could have been very dangerous, and that unconscious man continues to attack, forcing the boy to dodge. While escaping those attacks, he realized he needs to find the jerk. In another hall of the hospital, he began to call for him. After looking back, he realized that mysterious man had disappeared. But there is no time to feel relieved. He saw a mysterious glow. Soon after that, his entire body was thrown towards the wall. The boy hit it with great violence. Believing that Kim is responsible for this, he called him a coward. Once again, that mysterious man appeared. Kang observes it, increasingly scared. He doesn't know why Kim is doing this. He said he wants to meet his sister soon. But none of his requests are being answered. And the mysterious man is ready to execute a fatal blow. The piece of wood hit the wall beside the boy's head, and the body of this man remains unconscious. Kang is getting more and more scared. Finally, someone revealed themselves to him. It's Kim. After calling the man back, he said that the boy's sister is waiting for him upstairs. Kang said that if anything happens to the girl, he won't stand by. Kim just ignores this empty threat. Now Kang started to climb the stairs hastily, finding his sister unconscious, on top of some chairs. When trying to approach her, the man with a piece of wood prevented it from happening. Kim said he still has something to do, but the boy asked what happened to his sister. The villain said she is just sleeping. Kang also wants to know who that man is, and why he keeps following him. Kim said he's just a homeless man. Now, Kang has a choice to make. He needs to kill one of those people, all to test the hypothesis he himself had raised. Kang is trying to stay calm, but he doesn't want to cooperate with this, and will find a way to attack him. Quite curious, he asked if he would become a murderer if he controls that homeless man. Kim said he would be dead if that were possible. He has already done many experiments, removed limbs and pretended it was an accident, controlled people to attack others. He has tried everything. But it's completely useless. Whenever a death happens, he goes back in time. Kang still doesn't understand why this abnormal person keeps killing people. Kim told him that the act of killing is more important than the opinion of others. His goal is to extinguish humanity, for God's sake. Another villain who needs therapy. At least in this, I have to agree with Kang. He believes this is great foolishness. Kim came to believe that the boy was responsible for disrupting everything, but changed his mind when he saw his abilities. One is capable of killing, and the other of giving life. It must be the balance of things. He wants to know if Kang suspects who might be manipulating time, because he must already suspect something. Kim realized that the boy still doesn't suspect anything. In this moment of reflection, the entire hall was illuminated by a mysterious glow. Finally, Kang realized the magnitude of the conspiracy theory. The time manipulator is not human. This is exactly what Kim believes now. This is an ability that is above them, above human beings. There must be 3 reasons why this interference exists. The first prevents them from exploring the potential of their abilities. The second, about the balance of taking lives and resurrecting someone. And the third reason is that they can cause great catastrophes, but Kim cannot say who is the exact source of this catastrophe. Even so, they need to find out who this third actor is and make them pay for interrupting. Kang realizes this makes sense, but it's not possible to fight against someone who can manipulate time. Returning to the primary objective, it's time for the boy to choose someone to die, his sister or a homeless person. Kim said he had asked a very obvious question. Quite apprehensive, Kang pointed in the direction of the homeless person. This choice was already obvious. Now he needs to choose the knife or a piece of wood. Kang decided to take a piece of wood in his hands. He is ready to make the first strike. Kim made it clear that he shouldn't do anything stupid, or his sister could suffer the consequences. This is making Kang very stressed. He is still thinking about saving his own sister. While his hands are trembling, someone called out to him. The girl had just woken up and has no idea where they are. But when she looked to the side, she immediately saw that strange boy. She immediately went into despair. Kang dropped the piece of wood and went after Kim, telling him not to touch his sister. That's when he had that strange sensation in his body. That was a time loop, which just happened. Knowing that someone had died, Kang asked his sister to calm down. Kang was extremely furious about this, but Kim told him he didn't harm the girl. He had killed Kang, which is why there was a time loop. But if he approaches again, the girl will pay the price. Kang now has his hands tied. He has no other option. The girl said she is scared, and Kang told her he will explain everything soon, but asked her to close her eyes and ears. All she needs to do is wait a few moments. Kang decided to opt for the knife, believing it would be a quicker path. Kim really liked this choice, and placed the knife in the boy's hands. Kang had to sigh a lot. He really needed to do this and had practiced before. He started a countdown. The girl has her ears covered, while the degenerate watches attentively. Kang finally decided to use the knife, but he infused it with some of his power, sending the blade toward his enemy. Kim was already imagining something like this might happen. With little effort, he managed to stop the blade, altering its trajectory. He said he would never be hurt by such a clumsy attack. Next, the body of the homeless man was sent in his direction. That ended up disrupting Kim's plan a bit. As he pushed the homeless man's body away, he accidentally hit Kang's sister. Standing up from the chair, he realized the boy had disappeared. Kang managed to appear behind that weirdo. Grabbing him by the neck and one arm, Kim didn't feel threatened by this and asked to be released while he was in a good mood. Kang said he had killed his mother and kidnapped his sister, and he would never help him. He began to use his power on his rival's body. That deep agony was spreading through him. Kim was feeling very intense pain. He couldn't move his own body, as if a magnetic energy was pulling him. On the other hand, Kang was having to exert himself a lot. His victim should have lost consciousness by now. This result was finally being achieved. Kim was losing strength, and he needed to free himself from that. Then he used his powers to lift off the ground, hitting Kang against the ceiling of that room. The impact was enough to distract the boy. The shockwaves wouldn't work this time. Even so, he wasn't out of options. His hand began to glow. Kang fired a burst of energy in that jerk's direction. Kim hit the ground with full force. That impact was enough to knock him out. However, Kang was descending furiously toward him, because his victim was still awake. After a big shock, Kang began to cough a lot. His body had been pinned to the wall due to Kim's psychic powers. A bit injured, Kim praised the boy's intelligence. That attack was well planned. Now he was using his psychic powers to twist his body. Kang's arms were already reaching their limit, and the boy was doing his best to free himself from that. Observing his agony, Kim was sure that in this state, he could kill someone. Without noticing that a piece of wood was approaching his head, Kang's sister was responsible for doing that, which only made the villain even more furious. Little Kang was quite worried about what might happen. His sister had just been punched by that jerk. Turning his attention to the knife, Kim said those fools are very arrogant. Kang's concern increased even more. He asked his sister to flee from that place. Using his psychic powers, Kang was ready to make his next victim. He told Kang to pay close attention to what was going to happen because he was going to make her fall to pieces. The knife began to fly through the air, leaving Kang in a state of complete fury. His powers were overflowing. Now he could move one of his arms, and fired a burst of energy that was approaching the villain's back. After being engulfed by that energy, Kim began to agonize deeply again. Kang's sister watched that bizarre scene, and the knife was already within her reach. Kim couldn't understand why he had been paralyzed, but looking back, he saw that Kang was already in his superior instinct form. Even his sister was startled by that. Kim couldn't accept that he was being defeated. He focused his powers on the homeless man's body, trying to use it as a weapon. But Kang's senses were completely sharp. He managed to control the homeless man's body without difficulty, leaving Kim even more terrified. Not understanding how that was possible, the villain began to lose consciousness once more. Kang told him not to get in his way, throwing his body through one of those windows. The villain's body fell to the ground like an abandoned pillow. This time he was unconscious. Having used his power that way, Kang ended up very breathless. He still didn't understand what happened, but he had definitely won. Now that everything was over, his sister decided to approach as well. She was still very scared, but didn't seem to be hurt. A bit relieved, the two decided to hug. In a room full of cats, a mysterious person said they would have to do this personally. She learned that an incident had occurred. There was a small problem, but they won't wake up. She'll take care of it later. The girl surrounded by cats seems to be losing contact with whoever she is talking to. She said they received a small upgrade. That should be more than enough. We return to the possible protagonist of the story, lying on the ground, in the middle of the rain. In the corridor of a building, between the stairs, two young people are talking. It's that jerk who keeps hitting on Jin, Kang Min's friend. She asked if he wants to see the bruises he left on her and suggested he back off before she tells everyone. Angry at this threat, he said it was her fault for continuing to annoy him and prepared to hit her. The girl said this won't end well for him. However, the jerk feels no fear of her. He hit her anyway, not believing she could retaliate. Then, he grabbed her by the hair. Throwing the girl to the ground, he said something like this wouldn't come cheap. She also can't run away from him anymore, in any way. The girl calmly put a cap on her head, and the jerk began to wonder if she was really crying. When he grabbed her by the shoulder, he saw there was a mask under that cap, and a mysterious energy began to shine. That left the jerk quite surprised. Without any explanation, he was no longer able to breathe, feeling like he was going to die. Despair took over his thoughts. That jerk began to suffocate a lot. A scream of terror can be heard on the stairs in that building, and the jerk who was aggressive before now cries like a child. Jin made him promise he wouldn't approach her anymore, and the jerk promised he would never do that. Showing he's a true coward, he begged for his life. But the girl intends to have a little fun. She increased the pressure on his neck even more, until the jerk decided to sleep. Removing the cap from her face, the girl revealed she was very exhausted. She still can't get used to that residual energy. It was then that another person appeared, saying the jerk was still alive. It would be better to end his life. The girl asked why an administrator would say something like that. Not to mention she can't kill people with her power. That is already more than enough for her, and she hopes never to see that piece of trash again. Outside the abandoned hospital, Kang is leaving with his sister. She believed those two guys were friends. Kang apologized for what happened. Still very confused, the girl asked what had happened and what her brother did to that jerk. It seemed like a superpower, Kang stated. It's a long story, and he'll explain everything soon. Now they need to return home before that jerk wakes up. However, Kang began to wonder if it's okay to leave that animal like that, but soon he had peace of mind because he is a murderer and had crossed an unbreakable line. He won't boss Kang around anymore. After that big beating, Kim finally decided to wake up, and he is furious about what happened. Using his powers, he flew out of that place as if he were a scion. High above the city, he began his search. He no longer cares about the time loop, he just wants to spread pain. He decided he would kill everyone, not caring about the consequences. It's time to find out who will truly win. A bus is driving through the city. A pregnant woman couldn't find a place to sit. A woman decided to offer her seat in this situation. Meanwhile, the bus driver saw something absurd. A young man had placed himself in front of the vehicle. To avoid running him over, the driver swerved abruptly. Inside the bus, the passengers were in trouble. The vehicle ended up mounting the sidewalk because of that. Now that the most exciting moment had passed, the driver asked what was wrong with this young man. Kim's face is dirty with blood and very furious. He used his powers to send that bus flying. All the passengers panicked. The vehicle is gaining more and more height. On the ground, a big traffic jam is starting to form. Kim only needed to raise one of his hands, and several vehicles were launched into the air. People in that place began to film this, not understanding they are witnessing a disaster. Kim decided to use these extras too. He began to lift those bodies into the air and sent them to the same place where the cars are. He thought to himself it would be easier for someone to kill him because he wouldn't stop now. Everything is rising more and more. None of those people can say why this is happening. Now that they had gained a lot of height, Kim lowered his arms abruptly. Everything that was in the air began to fall. A great wave of impacts is occurring now. A large number of people are also ceasing to live violently. Kim observes everything with considerable coldness, until that peculiar sensation happened again. Once more, cars are sent flying through the air, as well as people. It seems Kim is getting exhausted from having to do that. Those who witness this try to flee, desperate. Kim's fatigue is growing. He is already very breathless. Doing that repeatedly is taking a very high toll. After some time, he went to the top of a building to catch his breath. A bit of blood is dripping from his nose. He is really quite exhausted, but decided he would continue with it until someone appeared. In the building next door, two people watch with some curiosity. A man with a scar on his head, who noticed that Kim finally stopped to rest, asked the girl next to him how many times that had happened. She counted 33 time loops, and so far the boy hasn't realized he's only hurting himself. Jin is also among these people. The man with the scar on his head thought she was already there. The girl said she had to solve a problem, and the man seems to know it's her ex-boyfriend. The other woman there said he was being rude, but the man seems to be really clueless. They realize the time loop continues to happen. Kim stopped for now, and they are wondering why their superiors haven't recruited him yet. There are rumors that another universe ended in hell because they recruited someone without preparing for it. The mysterious woman, who was already on top of that building, pointed to something, and the dimension of the intruders. A mysterious energy began to appear nearby. They realized they would have to act, knock out the boy, before he was exposed to the energy of the intruders. Jin is already prepared. She put on her characteristic hood, but inside she seems very upset. Her eye began to glow intensely, focusing on Kim's body. The boy began to feel a great pressure, as if the air in that place was trying to crush him. Jin is trying hard, but the boy continues to resist. The man with the scar on his head asked her to hold on a little longer. Kim realized this is a mental attack. He needs to endure a little longer, but he didn't notice that something was already coming towards the back of his neck. The bald man managed to act in time, knocking down that young man. It's time to get out of that place. Finally, Kim woke up. A few hours have passed, and it's dark. Getting up, he tries to remember what happened, because he knows he was destroying everything. That's when he realized he might only be able to get that far, which he considered pathetic. He also began to feel a pain in his leg, and found it strange, as he doesn't remember getting hurt. Because of everything that happened, he can't get Kang out of his mind. The next day at school, someone started questioning him about pushing the obese guy off the terrace. That was too much, and the obese guy could have lost his life. The one who said this is the muscular boy, who at least thought Kim took people's lives seriously. After hearing that, Kim started laughing loudly. The muscular boy found that very strange. Kim said that this guy is very wrong about him and would like him to do a favor, stop wasting time in that place, unless he wanted to die too. Hearing that, the muscular boy was quite upset and recognized that it's his fault for thinking they were friends. After saying those words, he decided to leave. A girl observes everything from a distance, saw that the two had fought, also noticed that Kim never denied doing it. It's time for her to play a bigger role in this story. She's that new student. I even gave her a name, but I've already forgotten. She took too long to appear. After seeing all that, Helena approached Kim, who was still sitting on that bench. She asked if he still remembers her, as she was transferred just 2 days ago. Trying to introduce herself to Kim, she ended up being completely ignored. Helena said he will regret doing something like that, because she discovered his little secret. Kim looked back with some suspicion. Then she showed a photo she had taken with her cell phone, Kim using his powers to suffocate someone. Helena said she has more material, including videos of what happened, but her cell phone ended up slipping from her hand, crashing against a wall and being destroyed in the process. Helena wasn't expecting a reaction like that, but she acknowledged that it was a very good decision to make a backup of it on the internet, being sure that this content will go viral, asking if it's okay for the whole world to get to know Kim. Furious, the boy decided to use his powers on her, but his crutch ended up falling to the ground, which caused him to lose his balance. Before he fell, Helena helped him. Showing some concern, she asked if he was okay. Kim just pushed her away without saying anything. That left Helena distressed. She didn't expect to be pushed like that. After getting up, she said that it hurt. Even so, she picked up the boy's crutch and handed it back to him. She also asked why he needed it, since the boy had superpowers. If she were him, she'd be flying through the air. Kim shouted angrily, telling her to shut up and delete all those files, or he would kill her. Helena said he could do whatever he wanted, but he would deeply regret it. Quite irritated, Kim asked what she wanted. Then the girl approached him, smiling. Shortly after, the two were flying through the air, and Helena was having a lot of fun. From that height, the cars looked very small. She could even see the building where she lived. The sensation of flying was incredible, and she was enjoying every moment. She asked if Kim could fly higher because she wanted to go up too. The boy obeyed her command, which made Helena even happier. Kim, on the other hand, remained emotionless. They were already far above the clouds. Since they had climbed quite high, Helena said she wanted to skydive and asked the boy to catch her before she hit the ground. Kim simply let go of the girl without a second thought. As she fell, Helena was having a lot of fun. The girl passed through the clouds and was heading toward the city's concrete. That's when she said it was enough, and Kim could catch her now. But when she looked back, she saw nothing, and she began to worry about it because she could really hit the ground. Still in free fall, the girl was about to land face first on a helipad. She was centimeters away from becoming a human pancake. At the last moment, Kim appeared to catch her. Perhaps he was tired of the time loops. It was so intense for Helena that she simply fainted from the emotion. Kim observed the girl he had just rescued. Some tears were streaming from her eyes, and he found the whole situation very annoying because he didn't have time to waste on this. Now he had an unconscious girl in his arms. To let her wake up naturally, he went to the top of a building and waited there. However, Kim was still quite reflective. Remembering the tough battle he had against Kang and the huge beating he had taken, just remembering it made the boy quite agitated, manifesting his power so intensely that he ended up damaging the large screen at the top of that building. After that, Helena woke up and asked what had happened. Kim said he did as she asked, so the photos should be deleted. Helena said he was very mean and had no idea how scared she was. She really thought she was going to die. Not to mention that on her birthday, her parents lived in another country, and she had no friends. As she vented, Kim became increasingly angry, until he decided to tell the girl to shut up, but it seemed he wasn't even heard by her. Helena hugged him because she didn't know what to do, and judging by Kim's expression, he didn't know either. Helena said her parents abandoned her there and that she didn't understand how someone could value their work so much, and she still missed her mother. They could have visited on her birthday. Kim tried hard to hug her. After much struggle, he managed to do so. Leaving that place, they bought a small slice of cake. Helena couldn't light the candle, and she asked if she had to do that on her own birthday, inviting Kim to join in too. The jerk looked at her with great disdain. Kim told her to hurry up because he had bought that cake for her, and the photos should be deleted immediately. Helena seemed very focused, asking not to be distracted because she needed to make a wish when blowing out the candle. She asked God for Kim to take people's lives more seriously, and to use his powers to help others. But before she could blow out the candle, the cake was taken from her hands. Helena was very upset, seeing that the cake had fallen from that building. Because of this, she lost her balance and was heading toward the ground. Kim had to use his powers once again. Prevented from falling, Helena said it was okay and thanked him for the help. Once again, Kim felt very bothered. That same night, a characteristic glow was illuminating a construction site. Kang was still trying to understand his powers. This time, he managed to intensify them even more, Creating a kind of hand made of energy, he directed his ability toward a nearby object, and with it, he managed to lift several iron bars. Even so, the boy needs to concentrate a lot. He moved that object until he placed it back on the ground. After doing that, Kang began to look at his own hand. Perhaps that power awakened when he tried to save his sister. It's surprising to imagine that he had this dormant power. He didn't even need to train for it. It simply appeared. The only thing he could do until now was attack people and make them lose consciousness. It might have been Kim's influence, as he feels stronger every time he meets him. Perhaps someone is transferring their power to Kang, and that person might be the one with temporal abilities. Kang is intrigued by this possibility, imagining that his duty is to stop Kim. He also feels the will of another person in that power, to save people. A mysterious woman observes all of this. For a puppet, Kang is saying very interesting things. Indeed, he had been chosen. Returning to Kim, he is still in that building. Happy with the day, Helena thanked him for being saved, revealing that the boy is not as she imagined. She thought he was mean for bothering that classmate at school. But in fact, he is a really nice guy. Very curious, she asked how he got those powers. Kim said he went through an accident in the mountains when he was young, but doesn't want to go into details. Helena asked if he had ever used those powers to do something good, but he remained silent. Still very interested in him, Helena asked if he is seeing someone. Once again, the boy remained silent, so she assumed he doesn't have anyone special. Not wanting to keep talking, Kim told her to stop the small talk and delete the photos already. Only then did she reveal she was lying. She doesn't have any backup, it's all on her computer, and it would be better for him to delete everything personally, inviting Kim to come to her house the next day. He didn't like the idea of having to go to her house. This must be a joke. Helena said he broke her phone and that she almost died that day. It's the least he could do. Not to mention it will be the weekend. Helena promised to cook something for him so they could have lunch together. Without giving any response, Kim flew away, which left Helena very anxious as she didn't get a response from him. Kim can't stand this girl anymore. As soon as he deletes the files, he'll delete her too. Helena seems very confident. She is sure this guy will come back to her. Mysterious people appeared in her company and said that inviting him to her house was not in the plans. Helena confirmed that everything is already prepared, and this time everything will work out. But the mysterious person said it's too early to draw that kind of conclusion. Kang's sister is already home and said everything is fine. She didn't know her brother had that kind of power, asked if he's been hiding it all this time. Kang apologized for that, and his sister wants to know if he can heal their mother's legs. The boy said he can't. She asked why he didn't save their father. Kang said he was too young at that time and didn't understand the powers he had. But having those powers is very interesting. She asked if Kang could help her friend. Her ex-boyfriend is a jerk, used to hit her, and continues to harass her. She got beaten up again. Kang couldn't believe it. He was even more surprised to realize his sister wanted him to intimidate this jerk. The next day, a door was broken down. Kim is entering an apartment. It's the place where Helena lives. She was upset about it. Kim could have rung the doorbell. Even so, she asked him to come in, as she made some toast for him. Kim said he's not interested in that, stating he will leave as soon as he deletes those files. Helena went back to the kitchen and asked him not to be in such a hurry. The cats living with her began to approach the boy. After entering the kitchen, Kim asked where the computer is. Looking at the living room, he noticed there was no furniture, just a chair. Helena presented him with the sandwich she had just made. When the boy picked up the plate, she said she would offer a glass of milk too. Once again, he asked about the computer. Helena said they don't have one, which made Kim a little nervous. Helena said she just wanted to talk to him. The only files she had were on the phone, and she ended up apologizing for the lie. However, she assured him she has something important to discuss with him. The plate and sandwich are thrown to the floor. Kim used his powers to push the girl towards the wall. He doesn't seem very happy. Helena asked him to listen to her because he's making a mistake. Kim no longer cares about this. He won't let her keep messing with him. Finally, he used his powers to break her neck. The girl's body fell to the ground, lifeless. Kim observes that scene attentively, and time kept passing, quite a lot. Kim ended up being quite surprised by this. He is sure he had taken that life, but unlike other times there was no time loop, and that's surprising. Kim observes the girl's body on the ground with even greater attention. He is sure she is dead, but he still doesn't know why time hasn't returned. To clear his doubts, he decided to check the girl's pulse. He was quite scared by that. Not knowing what to do, he started poking her, hoping to wake her up somehow. Almost in despair, he asked what she is and why time hasn't returned, but Helena remains completely still. Kim soon understood he would have problems. Perhaps she was responsible for manipulating time. He just didn't expect her to die so easily. Still thinking about this, he was surprised by one of the cats which rubbed against his leg. That particular animal has heterochromia. This reminded him of Kang, who might be able to fix that situation. Kim turned the girl's body over. My God, how foolish he is. The guy broke the girl's neck, and now he's trying to perform CPR. For heaven's sake, the man is too foolish. Kim is completely desperate. While the girl's body shows no reaction, he is already begging for her to wake up somehow. But after all that CPR, nothing happened. Kim's despair is only increasing even more. Completely furious, he punched the ground, not knowing what to do. After getting up, he started thinking about the situation. He shouldn't have killed her so soon. Now he doesn't know what's happening. Helena might be responsible for manipulating time, and she might not even be human. Kim has no idea about anything. Now he needs to think of a way to dispose of the body. Thinking about this, he heard the door open. 2 people entered that apartment. They are 2 girls, and one of them looks a lot like Helena. Kim looks at them with some suspicion. The masked girl already expected something like this to happen, and the girl in the cap said it was too early. Once again, they will have problems with the council. Another girl entered that environment while the other 2 were arguing. All of them look like Helena, and this 3rd girl said it was a success. Kim has no idea what's happening, because he is sure he is facing Helena. But there is also a dead Helena in that room. There is no obvious explanation for this, yet he wants to know what's happening. The Helenas are arguing now, whether it was a success or not. One of them said, everything happened as expected. The one wearing a mask asked what the need for that was, as it's time to reset. However, the 3rd Helena said Kim tried to save a person and regretted killing for the first time. The others agree that this is indeed an unprecedented event. No matter what Kim's intentions are, they just found the inflection point. Completely enraged, Kim asked who these girls are, as it's time for them to start explaining what happened. The Helenas started looking at him, and one of them got very close to the boy, hitting him with a punch to the face. Kim asked what the hell she is doing, and angrily, Helena said he killed her. He asked if that really is her. Helena said yes, which left Kim even more confused. Helena said he seemed very desperate and wants to know if he was really sad when she died, but Kim gives no response. However, Helena observes very attentively. Kim is still confused. There are things he can't explain there, and he would like to have answers. The Helenas said they would introduce themselves to him. The one wearing a mask removed the mask, and the same was done by the one wearing a cap and glasses. Kim started to be very impressed by this. Introducing themselves to him, they all said they are Helena too. Seeing several versions of the same person, Kim was completely shocked, but he soon realized he could take advantage of this situation, thinking that woman must not be human. Now he is ready to use his powers once again. Saying that finally, the person with temporal abilities decided to appear to him. Everything in that apartment started to be destroyed. Kim is grabbing various debris to use as a weapon. He is about to attack those Helenas, but none of them decided to move. One of the girls told him to calm down and not do anything foolish because they have something important to tell him. The first thing is that she is not the person with temporal abilities he is looking for. Kim pays attention to these words, but remains silent. Helena told him not to be disappointed because they have an interesting proposal for him. They know how to get out of that time loop. Kim immediately asked how this could happen. Helena said she won't help him for free. They need his help. They can't share details yet, but he has proven to be the right person. Kim asked when he proved that because he never helped any of them. But Helena said she saw enough, which proves his potential, and they already have high expectations. Kim asked what happens if he doesn't agree to this. Helena said he won't receive any clues, remaining trapped in the time loop forever. The boy seems not to like how the dialogue is going. That wasn't convincing enough, and he isn't interested in helping anyone, so he ordered them to tell the truth, or they would all die there. Helena apologized but said she couldn't do that now. Kim said he only has one answer to give now. It's the death of all of them. The sharp projectiles began to move, but those girls didn't take a single step. Blood was spread all over that room. Only bodies are on the floor now. Kim really fulfilled what he had promised. As expected, killing those girls didn't make time go backward. Furious, he demanded she reveal herself, whether human or god, he would end her. Once again, the door opened. Someone asked the boy who he was yelling at. Kim saw several other Helenas. It seems these girls have no end, and they are a bit different now. He was quite scared by this. He may be evil, but he's not depraved, so he turned his face away. Helena said if it makes him feel better, he can end as many as he wants. They have a good number of reserves. Still very intrigued, he asked what she is. The girl said they are all Helena, even those who are no longer alive. They are separate entities, but they all share the same memories. She knows about the student who fell from the school terrace. We are led to the one who cannot be bypassed. Before everything happened, the one who is extremely visible recognized the person who approached, but he saw a strange glow, characteristic of those psychic powers. Helena had approached him with several of her clones, revealing to Kim that the accident with the one who cannot be embraced happened because of her. She left her clones waiting at the school while she searched for a house. The accident happened while she was moving. She didn't expect that landmark to fall that way, but soon he will wake up. Approaching Kim, Helena asked if he wants to know who they are. But for that, he needs to help too. That's the only way to get out of the time loop. In that same city, a man is on the ledge of a building. He lost 600 million Korean coins. Everyone turned against him, but it was the manager who forced him to do it. He is fed up with this situation. Now he is thinking if he should jump, but decided he wouldn't go alone. Still thinking about it, he didn't notice a lightning bolt approaching his head. He was struck by that mysterious energy. His body seems to have entered a trance. At the same time, the entire building was surrounded by a mysterious barrier. The young man now has his eyes closed. Finally, his eyes opened with a malicious smile, and through his mouth, it was said that his wish will be fulfilled. We returned to Helena asking for help. Kim asked what needs to be done, and she said it's something he might like, but she needs to know if it's a yes. Kim seems to have agreed but asked the girl to put on some clothes because he is getting uncomfortable. Helena celebrated a lot, saying he had made the right decision. Kim realized it doesn't make sense to kill all those people since it's the same person. He needs to see what will happen. Now that the girl is dressed, she asked Kim to approach the window too, and asked if he can see alcohol in that direction. Kim said he is only seeing the buildings. Then Helena offered him some contact lenses. Kim refused to put them on, but Helena said it's necessary if he wants to see too. Trying to get into the boy's mind, Helena asked if he is afraid, but in the absence of a reaction, she held him tightly. I told him to stay quiet, since he can't put the lenses in by himself. He said he never needed to learn how to do it. Even so, Helena continued, telling him to stay quiet. The contact lens had been positioned. Kim said the sensation is very strange. Helena told him to look in that direction again. This time, he could see that the building is isolated by a barrier. Helena said there's someone he needs to defeat. Kim asked if he needs to take that life, and the girl said yes. When he enters the barrier, he will encounter a bizarre situation, but he will soon get used to it. Inside that building, people started to be killed, and several others were taken as hostages. That man who wanted to jump off the building is responsible for all of this. People are begging him to be spared, with various justifications. He said that's the problem with humans, and he had already said something similar. He said he would release everyone if they stayed quiet until he bent all his fingers, but they ignored this. Now it's all over for them. A bald old man said he's already on the last finger, and unlike the others, he never made personal attacks on him, and asked what this man desires. It could be a promotion, a raise, or even some shares. He even offered his own daughter. Then the man said he was never bald. Automatically, that old man would have to lower the last finger. He didn't like the comment about his baldness. Right after that, the old man's body fell to the ground. Other people fell too. The girlfriend of that other man was surprised because she never imagined he had been bald. Then she put her hands on the hair he had, discovering it was a wig. Realizing her boyfriend had lied about his own appearance. The degenerate in control of it all found it very funny, better than any comedic improv. A woman wants to believe it's all a nightmare, and the man next to her never imagined he would die playing Never Have I Ever. Desperate, a young man told Mr. Lee that he can't die like this, because he was going to get married that weekend, and he would like to be spared because of that. But the man called him an idiot because he is no longer Mr. Lee, and now he will finish off each of those people, having a lot of fun in the process. Kim and Helena are already outside that building. He asked what that is. Helena said it's an intrusive dimension, a space created solely for the destruction and removal of lives. His job is to deal with the intruders using that dimension. Among the people with supernatural abilities she has probed so far, Kim is the most powerful. He should overcome this easily. With many doubts, Kim asked what Helena is, and what these intruders are. She said she can't tell yet, but she will reveal the truth if he completes all the missions. Kim said he will only help this time, and when he succeeds, he will want to know how to get out of the time loop. Helena said a promise is a promise. Now she asked him to hold her hand, as it's necessary to enter that dimension. She told Kim to look at that woman who is approaching. She is completely distracted. Part of her body passed through the barrier. Helena said that normally, he would pass through the barrier that way, but that's another dimension. Without her help, it's not possible to enter, and it's not easy to do. Kim can only see it because he's also using the contact lens. The boy realized he has no idea what's happening, but holding his hand, Helena said he will soon find out. It's time to enter now. Helena began to cross the barrier. Kim was very surprised to see he was crossing too. The two are now on the inside. Kim began to feel a very intense energy. Helena told him to keep moving forward. If he gets lost on that path, he won't be able to return. Inside the building, several people had already been killed. The entity that took over Lee's body saw that only one man was left. The poor guy only has one chance, and he asked to be spared. And the entity asked if he is ready for the next round. Completely desperate, the man decided to flee that place. The entity said it never married for money. That made the man fall to the ground immediately. Finally, everyone had died. At that same moment, the entity felt something outside. The window of that place had been broken. Immediately, what was once Mr. Lee realized he had visitors, saying it was very good to have found the administrators. Kim placed Helena inside that building. She saw that the entity had killed several people, an entire company, which is very impressive. The entity was grateful for the compliment and soon asked if it would receive a prize, for that girl does not have the authority to punish him, yet she stands in their way. Helena said she had been very busy because of these entities. There is a limit to the capacity to erase human memories, and the punishment laws have changed. The entity seemed interested in this. Asking if that other administrator would do it, Helena said the boy is not an administrator. He is just a human. This made the entity mock the situation, as humans are straightforward. Helena said he might end up in trouble because this year is very strong. Thus he approved the entry of that intruder. Kim began to manifest all his superior instinct power, leaving that entity quite impressed, for he is facing a human with supernatural abilities, imagining he must be a hero. He said he would fight Kim using only one finger. The entity also said that all the people are already dead. They arrived late for that party. However, they shouldn't be sad. He still has a finger that can be used. A special ability, it will be instant death when he bends it. More than enough to fight this hero. He asked the human to come closer. Kim used his powers to lift a piece of glass. The entity is very impressed with this psychic power. Kim threw the piece of glass in the direction of the entity, and using the rules of the game itself, the entity said it had never been a hero, yet the human remained alive, which ended up making that entity quite worried, since the piece of glass hit its chest, spreading a large amount of blood around the place. In fact, the piece of glass was thrown in the direction of its finger. This was done on purpose. The entity realized that this human was not what it was expecting, and recognizes that humans are not worthy of help. They are just toys they had created. So they could continue playing with them. The entity put the finger back in place. That dimension belongs to it. No matter the strength of this human, he will not be able to defeat it. Using its abilities, the entity gave an order to the boy's body to bend. Kim remains completely unchanged. This made the entity look at its own finger, wondering if it was still working. It cannot make the finger bend. This is because the protagonist is interfering using his psychic powers. Quite irritated, the entity told him to stop it. While it struggles to bend the finger, Helena began to smile at all of it. Kim was already getting very bored with all of it. Then he made the finger bend, but in the wrong direction. The entity began to agonize over this. At the same time, its feet lost contact with the ground. Kim had lifted the man's body into the air and slammed it against the nearest wall, causing a lot of destruction. After everything that happened, the entity was even more impressed. Debris is being sent in its direction. Kim doesn't even seem to be making an effort to do all this. The man's body is now quite injured. He fell to his knees on the ground in front of Kim, who once again stated that this is a waste of time. He told Helena to finish the job, but she cannot kill that being. They were synchronized with the intruder's dimension when they entered that place, so it is not possible to attack. The entity began to smile maliciously, saying that what is happening is a mistake. A human allied with the council, that inferior one should have chosen the correct side. In a mysterious way, the entity made a sixth finger appear on its hand, returning to the game of I never. Helena began to worry about this. That new finger is about to bend. Helena told the boy to pay attention to what happened, and the entity stated that it had never been a villain, bending the sixth finger it had created. It may be that this caused some kind of attack on Kim. Cries of agony filled that place. The entity seems to have suffered from its own condition. It is possible to see the pain through its facial expression. Contrary to what it was expecting, Kim remains perfectly normal. A hooded girl also appeared. She must be Jin, the girl who has problems with her ex-boyfriend. Kim was not expecting the appearance of another person with supernatural powers. This makes him remember what happened before when he was out of control in the city. Only then did he ask if he could end that person's life too. Helena told him not to do that. The girl is on their side. They should focus only on the intruder. Kim asked Helena not to touch him, but she said that girl gets tired very quickly. They will need to help her. Another Helena appeared, saying that it almost became a disaster. They should be more cautious. Kim is too relaxed. If it weren't for the girl in the hood, he would have died. Kim shows no reaction, and the Helena next to him asks the boy not to think too much about it. While they think, Jin is trying very hard. The entity is furious, saying that humans are pathetic. Helena told him that they decided to ask humans for help. The council approved this request. Now it's time for Kim to end that citizen's life. And the entity said something is wrong. He has never heard of a human with supernatural abilities. While he screams, a large concrete block was removed from the building structure, and he is ready to crush his target. Kim sent the block in the direction of that man, who is completely immobilized, unable to do anything. He just watches in horror the end that awaits him. Shortly after, only the blood flowing through the place could be seen. Outside, the barrier began to be undone, and that dimension is starting to collapse. Helena said this happens because the intruder is no longer alive. They will be able to leave there after half an hour. If they hadn't dealt with the intruder, the events of that dimension would have been reflected in reality. Jin is supported on the ground, quite exhausted from what she had done. The other Helena said they would leave first. Kim has not yet formally joined them, so they would be introduced later. The protagonists, Helena, said to wait in this place. Eventually, everyone will meet. Kim realized that time did not return, and wants to know if this happened because that guy was not human. Helena said that time had stopped temporarily. No matter who he kills in that place, the time loop will not happen. An intruding dimension is like a hunting ground for Kim. On that night's day, Kang watches the street closely through his window. Everything is too calm. He began to wonder if Kim had given up. It may be that he hasn't noticed anything due to the time loop, so he should remain cautious. Through his phone, he received information about that jerk from school who harasses his ex-girlfriend. Kang realized he is just a young delinquent. This boy is inside a car, being transported by his driver. He wants to know what happened to something he had requested. The driver said it's in the box next to the boy. Upon opening it, he found a stun gun. Seeing the energy of that, he became quite enthusiastic. Then he told the driver not to say anything to his father, but the man wants to know how the boy will use it. Before answering, he saw a familiar man through the car window and asked where he is going. And this man realized that the young man was returning from class. The driver got out of the car to greet this man. The man he spoke to is another thug and said that if the younger boy doesn't study, he will become a loafer like him. Returning to the protagonist, he asked if he should kill only within that environment and if that is the solution to the time loop. Helena said he is correct. That way he can continue taking lives while they deal with the intruders, but he cannot attack normal people. He may not like this agreement, but it's better that he learns to cooperate, as they are the only ones who can help him. There are other things they haven't told yet, but to know all this, Kim needs to want to cooperate. After hearing all that, he became quite thoughtful. He wants to know when he will discover what they are. Helena said she can only tell the truth when he officially joins them. Kim asked what will happen after that. So far, he has managed to prove that he has abilities. It's time to meet the others who also have supernatural powers. Kim asked if there are other people besides that girl he met. After that, the two entered an elevator. Helena said the number of people with abilities is increasing. They will investigate this soon. But it's not her responsibility. At the moment, she wants to introduce Kim to 4 ability users. Kim wants to know how many there are in total. Helena said approximately 50, as far as she knows so far. All of them have something in common. Either they committed or almost committed a murder, getting stuck in this time loop, just like him. The only ones who don't get stuck are those who can't kill with their abilities. So far, they don't have an answer for this. It may be a tool to suppress a destructive instinct in these people, but soon they will discover who is behind this. Kim had no idea there were so many people like that. It might be that the one who controls time is indeed a person. If he ends them all, he will eventually discover who is responsible. But he doesn't know if he can do this without the others noticing. He will act while with these people, but will keep his focus. Jin seems to be returning home. On the way, she heard a cat meowing. But the sound seems strange, as if the animal is in distress. She went to an empty construction site, where the sound is coming from. The girl found a cat completely tied up. Not knowing what had happened, Jin decided to free the small animal. While she does this, someone approaches stealthily from behind. Jin realized that someone tied that animal on purpose. Only then did she notice the approach of this strange person. It's her ex-boyfriend, that little crazy guy. Jin understood that he was the one responsible for doing that to the cat, but she didn't notice the stun gun he was carrying in his hands. The girl ended up being electrocuted. Still in agony, she asked what this jerk is doing. Outraged, the little thug asked what she made him eat that day, as he really thought he was going to die. Jin tried to pull the hood over her face, but ended up being electrocuted once more. This little thug is a sadist. He is enjoying it, seeing the girl tremble. What he didn't expect is that Kang would be there too. Looking back, the boy asked who this person is. Kang told the boy to stop. However, this little delinquent decided to attack with the stun gun. Jin managed to recover a bit and is ready to put on the hood and help too. But the stun gun hadn't worked against that guy. Kang grabbed the boy's arm and started making him feel great agony, making it very clear that if he bothers that girl again, they would see each other more often. Lying on the ground, the boy is now in a lot of pain. Jin realized that it was an ability. After recovering a bit, the little thug started to run. Before fleeing, he said his brother would kill those useless people. Kang just watches as the little coward makes his escape. Now he asked if the girl is okay, who seems to have recognized him. Removing the mask and hood from his face, Kang asked if the girl is okay. She said she's fine but asked him to help the cat first. Kang began to free the animal very carefully. As soon as it was free, the cat immediately ran away. Kang realized that the little offender is her problematic ex-boyfriend. Jin soon understood that her friend had talked about what happened. The guy said they should talk to the police, but Jin said it's okay. Even though he is worried, she can take care of herself. But they didn't notice they were being recorded. It's that little thug who is still hiding, willing to take revenge. Now that they are returning home, Jin asked how he knew she would be there. Kang said he goes to that place when he wants to be alone. And the girl asked where he learned to do those things. She was surprised to hear it was self-defense. Kang said he learned those techniques because he is the only man in his family. But Jin knows it's a kind of supernatural ability, which is why the stun gun didn't work against him. The two continue to be watched. The little thug wants to know how they know each other and is already assuming his relationship ended because of this other man. Full of hatred in his youthful heart, he promised he would end his life. In a bar in that city, some mobsters are gathered. They want to know where the girls are. Some knocks are heard on the other side of the door. One of the henchmen came to talk to his boss. It seems they are having problems. As soon as he finished speaking, someone hit him on the head with a metal bar. Hooded men entered that room. The mobsters want to know who these invaders are. Approaching the table, one of the hooded men said he hasn't drunk that in a long time. Then he decided to take a sip of that expensive wine. In response to the mobsters' complaints, they said all the guards are already asleep. The mobster with the scar on his eyebrow asked if they know who they are talking to. In response, the wine bottle was thrown in his direction. Believing they can argue, the mobsters ordered those men to remove their masks, but what they got in response were some blows with those metal bats. Now only the mobster boss is still awake. One of those who had been hit decided to grab a knife. He is already ready to make sashimi of his aggressor. However, his agility is very small. After failing the attack, he realized he would be struck with great violence. Only the sounds of the beating could be heard from outside. The mob boss asked what those men wanted. If it was money, they could give it to them. After picking up the knife from the ground, the hooded man said they already had plenty of money. What they really needed now was for this mobster to stop living. Completely terrified, the mobster begged to be spared, but his throat ended up being cut anyway. The hooded men fled that place, and upon finding the first square, decided to stop to rest. After removing their masks, one of them asked if the security of that was guaranteed. The other thug said that politics is only possible if there are people like them doing the dirty work. The money would arrive for them the next day, so they should stay quiet until then. It was at that moment that the guy decided to check his own cell phone. His younger brother, that little thug, had a favor to ask. The guy asked if the kid had messed up again, but the little thug said he would send a photo of his target, sending a photo of Kang to his brother. They soon recognized him. It's that same guy from the square. That awakened the violence in this thug, who seemed very happy to be able to do this favor. Kang left home to go to work, unaware that he was being watched. A very large white car stopped next to the boy. One of its doors was opened. A hooded guy was inside and spoke directly to Kang. He ended up a bit scared by that unexpected approach. Returning from the market is the muscular boy. While riding his bike, he is checking the shopping list, realizing he had forgotten to bring the potatoes. Indeed, his ear separator is very precarious. Now the guy needs to go back. That same white car is also near him. The muscular boy noticed that some people had gotten out of the vehicle. It seems they are beating someone. It took a while for the muscular boy to see what was really happening. He saw they were taking an unconscious Kang into the vehicle. That ended up terrifying him. As soon as they got everyone inside, the vehicle sped away. Knowing that an acquaintance of his is in trouble, the muscular boy decided to start the chase. Full of fury, he is ready to bring justice to these criminals. The vehicle seems to follow the route normally. On his bike, the muscular boy will not allow those people to escape. Kang already has his hands tied and a hood over his face. The vehicle ended up going to an abandoned lot. They didn't realize they were being followed by a guy on a bike. Realizing he couldn't get any closer, the muscular boy lay on the ground to catch his breath. Then he thought about calling the police. Inside an abandoned warehouse, they removed the hood from Kang's face. They are those same thugs who had oppressed his grandmother. Kang didn't take long to identify those jerks. As he had been taken prisoner by them, he got slapped in the face. The leader of the thugs knows he electrocutes people and wants to know where the stun gun is. Kang doesn't give any information to these people. One of those who had suffered from it said it feels like a shock, but the pain is very deep. One of them even passed out. The leader of the thugs wants to know how Kang does it, asking him to demonstrate. Apparently, he needs a guinea pig, so he asked to bring the other people. Some young people were brought there, and by the expression on their faces, they had already been roughed up. Kang immediately recognized his schoolmates. They don't know why they were dragged into this problem, but they asked Kang to comply quickly. However, the boy is quite thoughtful. The thugs weren't expecting him not to cooperate, so they decided to beat those young people in front of him. If Kang didn't comply, those young people would end up suffering even more. It was then that Kang asked them to stop. He could demonstrate how he does it. No need for a guinea pig. The boy showed his own hands, and a mysterious energy appeared in one of them. Quite interested in this, the thug asked if it's a kind of superpower, and if touching it is lethal. Being very curious, he handed one of those young people to be used by Kang. The poor guy is quite scared and asked not to be killed. Kang said he wouldn't do anything, as he has no reason to do something like that. This made the thug give an order for one of his henchmen to pull even more on the rope tied to Kang's arm, just to be able to beat him more comfortably. After a few punches, the thug asked how the old lady was doing, as he thought about paying her a visit. After that threat, he heard a sound coming from outside. It's the muscular boy who just arrived, and he's ready to share some of the suffering. As soon as he entered the warehouse, he saw Kang's condition, who was already spitting blood from his mouth. Completely furious, he asked what those thugs were doing to his friend. One of those idiots asked who this boy was, telling the thugs to take care of him too. 3 extras armed with iron bars approached the muscular giant. The size difference was striking. Since he doesn't like to exercise violence, the muscular boy asked them to get out of his way. For God's sake, this guy never stops being dumb. Now he's there, being pounded with a stick. Kang saw that and started to get quite worried. The others who were already knocked down on the ground had lost hope upon seeing that useless guy, who couldn't even fight back. After several blows to the head, the muscular boy's processor was reset, and from the look he gave, the operating system was now different. Using his violence drivers, the muscular boy advanced towards the first idiot, managing to lift him off the ground as if he were a toy. The other thugs took the opportunity to hit him even more, but that only made the muscular boy even more furious. Sticks were hitting his face indiscriminately. His skin couldn't take it anymore. The first bleeding had just appeared. Once again, the boy's processor was reset. Apparently, he had little RAM to act. The guy was very slow. Seeing that made Kang even more worried about his friend's health. For the leader of those thugs, the scenario was perfect. They had gained another hostage. His henchmen began to drag the dumb boy across the floor, complaining that he was very heavy. The other hostages, who had already been beaten quite a bit, sighed deeply. Quite outraged, the leader of the thugs told them to wake up that idiot. They started calling for him. Finally, the muscular boy opened his eyes. Still quite disoriented, he got up with a lot of aggression, managing to land a punch on the leader of those thugs, which was strong enough to hurt him. And to make matters worse, it seemed the muscular boy was operating on autopilot. He didn't stop his attack, hitting the leader of the thugs once again. The henchman asked if everything was okay, and like a good thug, their leader started to smile mockingly, saying that the boy knew how to punch very well, he should work with them. Now that he was back to being a coward, the dumb boy said he would call the police if they didn't stop because it was a crime. The leader of the thugs said he would let the hostages go if the muscular boy could defeat him in a fight. Looking at Kang, the boy whose thoughts were simple asked him to wait a little longer. The two were now ready for battle. Executing the first punch, the boy whose skull was empty ended up missing, and still managed to get hit in the ribs. Next, he received another punch that pushed him back. However, his physical resilience was impressive. His vision was blurred, and he wasn't fast enough to hit that magma. Another flashback. The boy of modest intelligence remembered that Kang always helped him with school. He also worried about him when he got into fights. The two really seemed to be friends. They even used to share snacks together. Now that he was being brutally beaten, he realized he couldn't let things stay that way. Because Kang was a very good person. Full of motivation, the boy whose reasoning was as fast as dial-up internet held his attacker's punch. That ended up leaving the leader of the thugs quite scared. The muscular boy said those idiots were just thugs who bothered students. They shouldn't feel proud of absolutely anything. Driven by his fury, he tried to hit the thug once more, but ended up missing. And once again, he was bombarded in the face. The damage was accumulating. The muscular boy was moving slower and slower, but his determination was worthy of a shonen protagonist, managing to hold the thug by the hair. To try to get rid of that, the thug hit him in the stomach. Definitely, the muscular boy started to feel pain, but he managed to hold the thug's head with both hands. Showing his overwhelming strength, he began to squeeze that skull. While this was happening, he was harshly punished with blows to the face. For God's sake, he just defended a blow with his forehead. That ended up giving him an idea. The leader of the thugs realized what was going to happen, receiving a big headbutt from the hardest-headed character in this story. And that happened a few times, enough to leave that thug unconscious. But as the mountain of muscles wasn't finished yet, he delivered a few more blows, leaving his victim completely unconscious. The other thugs there were paralyzed with fear. They all decided to band together to attack the muscular boy. Kang is very worried about his friend. Remembering that he needs to rescue a hostage, the muscular boy started walking towards him, trampling over all the criminals trying to stop him. One of the boy's hands is now free, but trouble never comes alone. Another stick hit the muscular boy's head. This time, he fell to the ground. Kang began to wonder if he should use his powers in this situation. Gradually, he tries to control that rope, which started to move like a whip, hitting another thug there, the one holding his other arm. Finally, he managed to free himself, but the other thugs are still alive and breathing. They began to wonder what they should do with that hostage. Kang used his powers in the direction of these people. The bystanders just watched the luminous energy approach. When this energy touches their bodies, an intense pain is shared with them. Almost unconscious once again, the muscular boy thinks of his friend. Now that everything seems to be resolved, Kang approached the mountain of muscles. Visibly concerned, he asked if he was okay while helping him up. It's time to get out of there. One of the thugs tries to wake up his leader, saying the hostages are escaping. Then he looked in the direction of our boy. Kang is carrying that mountain of muscle on his back. After getting up, quite injured, the leader of the thugs was furious. Away from that warehouse, Kang still has to help his friend walk. Now they should be safe. The muscular boy asked what happened. Kang said his grandmother had problems with those thugs, but he's surprised that the mountain of muscles knew he was there. Responding to this question, the mountain of muscles said he went shopping for his mother. Their conversation is interrupted by the intense light of a headlight. The leader of the thugs is out of control, advancing towards them with his car. Kang realized that very soon, he could be in severe trouble. There are only a few meters left before they are turned into pate. Kang still managed to push his friend out of the car's path, but he didn't have enough strength to get himself out of the vehicle's way. He ended up being run over. His body was thrown into the air after hitting the vehicle's windshield. Kang fell to the ground like a rag doll. The muscular boy is still trying to get up. Looking through the rearview mirror, the leader of those thugs was very pleased with this, but he would make sure that neither would survive. He is already turning his vehicle around, ready to crush them completely. At that moment, he saw a strange light approaching. A large truck was passing on the nearby highway. This left the thug quite scared. He lost control of the vehicle, crashing into a nearby tree. Luckily for him, the car's airbag is working. Even so, Kang remained stretched out on the ground like a rag doll, to the muscular boy's despair. He also saw that same characteristic light. The truck had lost control on the highway, and now it's about to topple over Kang's body. Witnessing this, the muscular boy went into despair once again. But the truck really toppled where it shouldn't have. After managing to get up, the muscular boy couldn't believe what had happened. His eyes were filled with great surprise. He saw an intense glow, but that truck remained in the same place. The muscular boy tore part of his clothing to perform first aid. He is very concerned about what had happened. Unfortunately, Kang is without both arms, which left his friend even more desperate. He remembered when he talked to Kang at school and received good advice from him about how to approach Kim. Bringing a snack might work. After all those events, an ambulance is coming to them. The muscular boy can hardly believe the harsh reality. Inside the out-of-control vehicle, the leader of those thugs is still there. He stumbled out quite a bit. The paramedic went to talk to the muscular boy to find out the details of the accident. He wants to know what injuries this person has. The muscular boy said his friend was run over. He didn't need to give more details. The paramedic called for the rest of his team. Amidst all those trees, someone is watching closely what is happening. Helena is there to erase the memories of the muscular boy who had seen those supernatural abilities. Kang is already being treated. That accident wasn't part of the plans, but it could be a good tool to awaken him. Helena said the founder will be very grateful. Kang is already in his hospital room, but he won't be clapping again. Outside are your grandmother and your sister, as well as the muscular boy and your own mother. The poor guy is still thinking about everything that had happened, and the situation his friend is in. At school, Kim approached Helena. She noticed that he no longer needs crutches to walk, and he told her he was thinking about something. Whether time loops can be combined, he hasn't forgotten about it. Helena told him not to bother others, but as he insisted on this question, she said it might be possible. But if done wrong, he could be stuck in the past forever, so it was better not to try. She also doesn't want to recruit Kang. In fact, she just wants this crazy guy to shift his attention from the boy who was hospitalized. At school, some troublemakers were put in detention, and the person responsible for this is smoking one of his cigarettes. He wants to know who is responsible for pushing the one without corners off the balcony. He heard that a first-year student did it. This troublemaker seemed to really like this news. Quite curious, he decided to ask what the name of this student is, finding out that he is not at school that day, but ended up discovering the name of one of his friends, Kim. To find out where Kim is, he made one of the students take him to his classroom. 2 well-fed extras were responsible for this task. Kim is sleeping peacefully in the classroom, and one of those cholesterol enemies ordered him to wake up. Helena saw that and became quite worried. The extra went to wake Kim, saying that third-year students want to talk to him, but the extra ended up being thrown far away, and one of those carbohydrate lovers decided to pull Kim by the hair. Finally, the boy decided to wake up, and the friend of Fatty Foods asked if his name is Kim, but the weirdo didn't give him any response. He just laid his head back on the chair, ready to sleep once more. That tested the structural resistance limits of this guy's coronary arteries. Completely irritated, he is ready to punch this citizen. But someone prevented that from happening. It was the leader of the troublemakers at that school. The friend of Fried Food said he didn't need to go there, as they would take this guy anyway. The blonde boy said he was bored, speaking to Kim. He revealed he wanted to talk to him. Our protagonist looked at him attentively. At that moment, the school's space began to distort, which made Helena truly worried. She knows exactly what that means. Kim is also aware. It's the dimension of an invader. The entire school is now surrounded by those mysterious barriers. A red beam descended upon it. Still very worried, Helena began to wonder where Kang could be, being informed by one of her clones that he traveled with his family. At least that's what she said. The boy remains hospitalized. Helena knows everything will be over if the invader takes over Kim's body. They need help from other humans. That red beam appeared in the classroom, hitting the head of the leader of the troublemakers. The blonde boy now changed his personality. His face is very dark, and his mouth resembles that of an animal in fury. After several hours unconscious, Kang finally managed to open his eyes. His mother was by his side the whole time and is relieved that her son is alive, as well as his sister and grandmother, who are very worried about him. Kang told the old lady that everything is fine, but he doesn't know what happened, as he doesn't remember anything. He tried to get up from that bed, but ended up losing his balance. It was then that he realized something was very wrong with his body. Most likely, he won't be able to clap his hands anymore. Kang is now wondering what happened to his hands. Completely terrified, he doesn't know what had happened. Back at school, that troublemaker had turned into a monster. Kim quickly realized this and began to think it must be the work of the invader. The friend of cholesterol asked his leader what had happened, as he seems to be sick. Looking at the big human pillow, the troublemaker said he is feeling very well, and will leave the rest of this task to the carbohydrate eater. When he looked down, the Buddha of Sin saw a worm crawling across his belly, and it climbed up the guy until it entered his mouth. Gradually, his body also began to undergo changes. The carbohydrate devourer fell to the ground. The other friend of cholesterol began to wonder what could be happening, witnessing the brutal change his companion is undergoing. His eyes are now red. Rising like an animal, the carbohydrate eater decided to attack someone else. For the leader of the outlaws, everything is happening wonderfully. In the midst of all those students, the carbohydrate devourer became a man-eater. Kim is still trying to analyze the details of everything. Helena told him that he is an intruder and he must go to the hallway very carefully. Even after being warned about this, Kim decided to ignore the advice. Now Helena is sure that he is an idiot. After that horrific scene, the 2 carbohydrate devourers were contaminated. It's time to spread the contagion to other students. Necks began to be bitten. One of them decided to head towards the original protagonist of this work, leaving Helena deeply worried. But using his psychic powers, the protagonist threw the baby whale pacifier out the window. However, several students are already infected, which made the protagonist throw several pieces of furniture in their direction. Approaching the protagonist, Helena asked if he had been bitten. The only doubt the young man has is whether he can kill these people. Helena said that the intruder should be the priority. If he escapes, all of this will become real. Saying these words, she felt the presence of another intruder. Outside, the muscular boy is talking to his own mother. He managed to leave school early and asked her not to worry. Ending that call, he began to hear several screams. Then he saw that carbohydrate worshipper trying to attack a student. The scene is so bizarre to witness that the muscular boy thought it was a movie recording. It was then that the lightning from the sky struck his head. The naive boy is now undergoing a transformation. His body fell to the ground, and when he got up, his expression was different. He must have certainly gained about 80 intelligence points. Just hitting them with furniture doesn't seem to have worked. Who would have thought a pen is more lethal than a chair? One of the intruders is outside. As everyone evacuated that room, Helena said Kim could attack. It didn't take long for the room to be decorated with blood. Those who had been infected are now dead. They need to be careful not to be bitten, otherwise they would be turned into zombies. Crawling on the ground is a weird worm. The creature tried to attack Helena's body, but it ended up being intercepted by a pen flying through the area, pinning the disgusting creature to the wall. Kim asked what that is. Helena knows it's related to the infection and that it's an intruder. Other worms appeared as well, but they ended up being properly sliced. Opening the door to the room carefully, Helena went to see how things were outside. There are zombies everywhere. They, the survivors, are trying to escape. Kim ignored caution, opening the door recklessly. The excessive noise caught the creature's attention. Quite worried, Helena asked why he acted that way. Kim just told the girl to get out of his way, hitting the zombies with some chairs. The force was strong enough to pierce the wall. Helena said he is very reckless. She almost lost her life because of it. Kim did it because she could become a zombie, not saying she could die. Helena was impressed by the boy's stupidity, as it's practically the same thing. Then, Kim told her that he doesn't even care about that. The other zombies continue walking down the hallway. Helena found it very strange. They are all going in the same direction. Kim believes there must be something in that place. She asked what he is doing now. The boy went to the window, recommending that she not leave the room, something she already didn't want to do. After flying out, he heard that he should be very careful. Other intruders are around. Thinking to herself, Helena realized that the others need to be prepared. Kim is observing everything from above. The zombies don't seem to be very intelligent. He also discovered that they are all heading to the gym. There might be survivors inside. In the sports court, Kim saw something quite interesting. Someone is running in that place, making very high jumps. He soon realized it's the muscular boy, but he doesn't know why he's doing that in a dangerous situation. The intruder realized that body is very good. It's time to put his skills into practice. After taking a deep breath, the intruder shouted very loudly, enough to make Kim uncomfortable. That doesn't seem to be an ordinary person. Kim understood that it's an intruder, and he has taken over the muscular boy's body. To make matters worse, he increased his height significantly, surpassing the school building. Of all the possible people, Kim didn't expect this to happen to the muscular one. The intruder uses the powerful body to cause a lot of destruction. With all that size, a direct fight would be very difficult. Kim needs to be strategic. He heard the intruders talking. All the zombies are gathering in one place. That first invader is absorbing the worms. So far, the count has exceeded 250, but that's still not enough. He needs a much larger number of zombies to fulfill his purpose. Outside the gym, a window was pierced by just one finger. One of the invaders asked how long they would have to wait. They don't have much time left. His friend said he should have chosen a simpler skill. He only needs 50 more zombies. The giant invader asked why his ally needs so many numbers, as it's no match for him. And he's asking to get ready quickly, as he's already quite irritated. This behavior is very strange. Kim started to wonder what these invaders really are. Some survivors are still hiding. They believe they are no longer being chased and are heading towards one of the school exits. The back gate is completely open. When one of them got there, they ended up hitting something invisible. They don't know what it is. With a lot of patience, a girl realized that something invisible is blocking the way. Trying to communicate with someone outside, she asked for help, but she realized she was completely ignored. While the students are distracted, those worms started to approach them, deciding to launch an attack. The girl is almost being reached by one of those strange creatures. Back at the center of the school, the giant invader is stomping everything, quite upset. Kim is thinking about where he should attack. The vital points are the first option. Finding some iron bars, he believes they will be enough. Deciding he would aim directly at the heart to end this situation quickly. He shot towards the giant. The bar hit its body, but nothing happened. Kim was very surprised by this. That body is very solid. The giant realized there is a human there with supernatural abilities, which is very interesting. Manifesting his power, Kim decided to go into battle. That giant was very bored and now decided to have some fun. Opening his hand, he tries to block our protagonist's attacks. The boulders either hit his face, but no damage occurs. With his powerful hands, he tries to crush our boy, who is almost being captured by one of those hands. At the last moment, Kim used his psychic powers to defend himself, but all that is just a simple game for the giant. Kim needs to use a lot of his power, and ended up being thrown far away like a fly, hitting the wall with his own body in a crushing manner. Like a classic in any manga, severe damage is reflected through the protagonist spitting blood. The giant was surprised that he is still alive. He must have cushioned the impact with mental powers. Motivated by anger, Kim grabbed several debris to attack, something desired by the giant, as he would like to make better use of that time. The debris is sent in his direction once again. The giant believes he will defend himself easily. He tries to strike all those boulders, but they dodge the blow, leaving the giant quite surprised. Looking up, he realized a large ball of debris had been formed, but this doesn't scare the giant in any way. In fact, he found this technique useless, needing only to punch that large sphere, turning the debris into dust. Kim, after making all these attacks, was quite breathless. He needed to descend to the ground to catch his breath. Apparently, the muscular boy continues to be his source of irritation, even when not in control of his own body. The giant took advantage of this moment of weakness to grab Kim. He said that supernatural powers aren't that special, and began to crush the protagonist's body. That's when the giant realized something is happening. His entire body decided to leave the ground. But that wasn't caused by the protagonist. That bald man with a scar on his head decided to appear too. Thanks to the participation of the bald man with the scar on his head, the giant released the protagonist. While his huge body flies through the air, the bald man managed to get close to him, putting a lot of strength into one of his hands. A blow probably happened and the giant was sent towards the ground. Kim still doesn't know this person and is wondering if he also has supernatural abilities. Looking at our protagonist, the bald man said it's not time to just stand there. He needs to defend himself. Indeed, several zombies are ready to take a small bite out of him. Before the first one approached, someone ended up pushing him. Kim watches closely the arrival of this other person. A girl who can create blades in her hands, and she has a look of someone who likes to ride motorcycles and inhale dangerous things, like party powder. Another guy showed up there too, because he has red hair and hits zombies with a wooden bat. He suggested a bet with the girl. The first to defeat 100 enemies is the winner, and if he wins, he would like to go out with that girl who supposedly smells like party powder. She agreed to the bet, provided he loses 10 points every time he is revived. For the red-haired boy, these terms are too easy. Distracted, he ended up getting bitten, which made the woman say that's why he never finishes anything. With some pieces missing, the woman said he should just sit and watch. Mysteriously, that guy came back to life, and he was very angry about it, as he wasn't expecting to be killed that way. Since they are making a bet, he asked how many zombies the girl had defeated, and she had already surpassed the mark of 30. Kim became interested in this revival ability, but neither of them seems capable of manipulating time. The giant returned to the fight. He told his friend that some powerful people had appeared, and it should be fun to fight them. The blonde thug said those humans are a waste of time. It's time for his friend to hurry up too. The guy who revives quickly identified the creator of the zombies and decided to attack him directly. Knowing that danger is approaching, the blonde thug used his defenses. He placed several zombies around him to avoid being reached. Striking all those monsters, the red-haired boy was very upset. His enemy is a coward. Meanwhile, the bald guy with the scar started beating up the giant. His bodybuilder physique can deliver a lot of suffering. Kim watched everything that was happening with great attention. Helena approached him to see if everything was okay. He said the others had the situation under control, and he didn't know why he was dragged into this situation. The girl said even they have limits. The bald guy's body gets stronger with the days, but his endurance is small. Prolonged fights are terrible for him. Kim realized that the one who seemed the strongest could be neutralized with a surprise attack. After taking some hits, the giant fell to the ground in a lot of pain. The bald guy was already starting to get breathless. To his displeasure, the giant just got up once more. The bald guy understood he wasn't causing damage. He needs to neutralize the enemy soon, or his problem will increase. Helena said it was time for Kim to help in that fight too. The giant is trying to hit the bodybuilder with punches, but he ended up being defeated with great ease. One of his arms is being completely immobilized. It was then that the giant called for the other invader. That fight is too difficult for him. But the blonde-haired thug is also being pressured. He is completely secluded in the middle of all those zombies. The effect of the bodybuilder's juice just reached its limit. He used all his strength. Helena said once again for the protagonist to help. Gathering what was left of power in one hand, the bodybuilder decided to finish with the last blow. The giant is still thrashing, asking for help. It was then that a large worm emerged from the middle of all those zombies, going directly into the mouth of the other invader. Kim watched this with great attention. The bald guy's strength had finally run out. Completely free, the giant had now become even stronger. The giant is feeling very well. The sensation of being powerful is incredible. The other invader told him to resolve the situation quickly, and he found it strange that his partner was inside him. With his enhanced reflexes, he managed to dodge the bald guy's blow, managing to hold his body with one hand, throwing the poor guy towards the ground. Then, he hit with a few more blows. Helena said the enemy just got stronger. It's time for our protagonist to stop just watching, otherwise the bald guy will end up dying. The guy who revives is advancing towards the enemy, believing he will defeat him using only a baseball bat, and he threw his only fighting instrument towards the giant. As incredible as it may seem, this reckless strategy worked. He rescued the bald guy. Feeling like a true hero, he asked if the girl in the leather jacket still doesn't want to go out with him. The giant managed to hold his head with 2 fingers, lifting the reviving comrade from the ground, bursting his skull like a small balloon. The girl in the leather jacket suggested that our protagonist take care of the zombies since he doesn't want to fight that giant. Irritated, Kim moved just one of his hands, throwing several zombies away. He said the other ability users should take care of cleaning the place. It's time for them to attack that transformed giant. And he saw the approach of the girl who has knives in her hands. Trying to crush her with his foot, he realized she is reasonably fast. The girl managed to make some cuts on his heel. The giant said that it is a waste of time. He is a zombie and feels no pain. Helena is talking to one of her copies, believing that the girl attacking must have some kind of plan. Kim is analyzing the enemy. Despite having become stronger, there is something wrong with those hands. The girl in the leather jacket continues landing several blows. For the giant, all of this is great fun. A large cut appeared on his ear. The giant did not notice that attack approaching. It was our protagonist who had done that. The giant did not remember him being that strong. Kim said the giant became weaker after the transformation. His body is no longer the same. Our boy started to lift several pieces of stone into the air, sending them all in the direction of the giant, who does not believe he can be defeated by this attack. But to his surprise, those stones managed to pierce through his body. The giant's feet are now staggering. His large body fell to the ground quite compromised. The worm inside him ended up escaping, heading towards our protagonist, ready to devour him completely. But our boy has very interesting abilities. With his mental control, he managed to split the body of that disgusting creature, leaving the girl in the leather jacket quite impressed. Thus, all the zombies in that place stopped moving. The giant's invader knows that the council allowed the use of supernatural humans, but did not think they would be so powerful, but he ended up accepting that defeat. Kim observes the body of the one who so much wants to be his friend and realized he never saved him in life. In the past, he knocked him out to drive away those kids who wanted to see ghosts in the abandoned hospital. After that, the building almost collapsed. Kim tried to use the boy's body as a shield. He ended up getting very exhausted and fainted in the process. With his head back in place, the red-haired boy is upset. He will have to get a new hairstyle. Kim realized that if it weren't for Helena's clones, he could end everyone there without difficulty. The barrier is starting to collapse. The other humans introduce themselves to the protagonist, but what he really wants to know is what those things were. The bald man said that the invaders, like Helena, are not humans. They are very intelligent mental beings, practically spirits. Kim, hearing this, ended up quite incredulous. These spirits spent a long time in the world of emptiness, sharing consciousness with each other. They wished to have physical bodies, and one fine day they created matter, using various creatures as vessels. Kim asked why he is hearing that useless story. The red-haired boy asked if he knows why humans were created. They were made for a safari experience. They are just characters in a game for them. The red-haired boy doesn't even like them. He only helps because he is being paid. The girl in the jacket told him to shut up because he only talks nonsense. But he said she also gets money because she only wears expensive clothes. The bald man returned to the explanation. Earth is just a travel destination for these spirits, so they can have fun. Everything is strictly controlled by the council, and Helena and her clones are the managers. The spirits visiting Earth are called travelers. They use bodies to live this experience. For the travelers, death and destruction are completely forbidden, but those who break the rules are illegal intruders. The number of invasions is increasing, as is the strength they possess, which is why they are cooperating with humans who have supernatural abilities. Helena hopes the protagonist will cooperate with them. The bald man said they have much to learn. In Kim's company, they can be even stronger. Our protagonist is not interested in this. In playing hero, he just wants to receive the promised information. Helena said she needs to talk to him in private. Kim wants to receive the information and will think about whether to join them or not. He doesn't want to fight alongside idiots. Helena said it is just speculation. There must be someone responsible for the time loop, the creator of the spirit journey. Kim asked if she is talking about God. She said it's almost that, someone with the authority to manipulate time as they wish. Our protagonist wants to know how he can find this person. Helena said there will be a chance if he ends all the invaders. But this narrative to him is absurd. He did not expect there to be a kind of God. Testing hypotheses, he decided he needs to kill those with supernatural abilities first. Back at the hospital, Kang's phone started ringing. It's his mother. Since he doesn't have hands, he asked for help to do that. Answering the call, he realized it wasn't his mother on the other end. It's that disgusting thug. He said that if the boy wants to see his mother again, he must go to that location. Kang was in despair. He never imagined things would turn out this way. In an abandoned warehouse, the woman is being held hostage. The leader of those thugs was very happy to see Kang going there. Without arms, the boy showed he was quite upset, but he was easily restrained by the thugs. The thug said he had to spend all his reserves to buy off the police. Because of what happened, Kang will pay by working for him. Kang said he can no longer use his powers, as he no longer has arms. One of the thugs decided to hit the boy's mother with a slap, making the woman fall to the ground. It didn't take long for them to decide to kick her too. Kang was deeply irritated by that scene, manifesting his powers, something the leader of the thugs was expecting to happen. But those men seemed to have beaten her too much, and they became worried because that woman is no longer breathing. The leader of the thugs was very angry with them for having exaggerated in cruelty. While he screams, a lot of blood flew through the air. Seeing only a hand flying across the floor, the thug looked back quite scared. Kang is consumed by fury and created 2 energy arms. The thugs weren't expecting something like this to happen. One of them tried to flee immediately, but ended up being captured by Kang's energy. While being manipulated in the air, he begged to be saved, but his body was already being stretched, as if made of rubber, until he was completely torn apart, spreading more blood in that place. Another one of the bandits tried to flee too, but Kang wasn't interested in letting that happen. The leader of the thugs is now completely alone, having to fight against a person with supernatural powers. Showing that he is a true coward, the leader of the thugs wants to solve the problem through dialogue, but he ended up having one of his arms torn off. Completely terrified, he still tries to convince Kang not to do that, but words are not enough. Kang was pressured too much by life and ended up turning into a monster. The invader's dimension finally disappeared. If they don't resolve this situation, it will end up affecting reality. Even if there are survivors, or if the terrain is transformed, it could raise suspicions. The solution to this is to manipulate people's memories so they believe it was a natural disaster or something else. As the number of attacks has risen, they need help. As our protagonist has already discovered, the administrators cannot attack the invaders. Kim wants to know why there are so many cats in her apartment. The animals are used to inspect the abilities of people like him. Helena noticed that he likes cats. Our warrior without arms ended up carrying out a great carnage. Now he is full of remorse, not understanding why he had done all that. Desperate, he remembered his mother's situation. He approached her with his powers, not accepting that something worse had happened to her. Kang tried to use his healing techniques, but nothing happened, which filled the boy with remorse. All that happened because of him. Kang is diving into an endless spiral of suffering. What he doesn't know is that he is being watched by Helena, who had hypnotized the boy. Everything happened according to her plan. My God, the leader of the thugs was furious in the forest, promised he would end everyone. Helena hypnotized this guy, feeding his rage and guiding him towards revenge. Now everything is prepared. She waited for this moment with much anticipation. It's time to put everything into practice. She began to move away from that place, while the boy without arms has a fury crisis. But after manifesting his power that way, he fell to the ground quite tired. After a while, Kang got up, manifesting his energy arms. He is now fascinated with this power and can execute their plan. My God, I think that Helena took over the boy's body. Crossing the warehouse roof, she said she will transform that travel destination into her original form. The original Helena felt that her copy in charge of supervising Kang is no longer alive, and she also can't access those memories and is wondering if everything is okay with Kang. Maybe she heard about the family trip being lies. Kim asked what is happening. If they are invaders, however, it's about Kang. He said he doesn't want to help the boy. In fact, he wants to kill him. The administrator responsible for him is no longer alive. Helena has a negative intuition about this. In another part of the city, they heard a loud explosion. Helena doesn't know what could be happening. Destruction is spreading rapidly. Beings that seem to be administrators want to escape this dimension. They never imagined a human could have this power, and it is attacking only the travelers. These extras had their path blocked. Kang appeared before them full of power. He said that place is not for unscrupulous travelers. It's time to make them disappear. With his elevated powers, he destroyed those bodies. The witnesses of that brutal scene were terrified. Kang continues attacking people without any restraint. The other ability users already know what's happening, but that is not Kang. It's one of the administrators, but Helena doesn't know how he managed to take over Kang's body. Kim noticed the boy's arms are missing. Now he wants to know what could have happened. One of the dozens said no one should have such authority, only within the invading dimensions. She might have received this authority from someone even greater. The glasses-wearing Helena soon realized it could be those people. The red-haired boy advanced for the attack. That is the ideal opportunity for an ambush. He is approaching with his sword, but ended up being grabbed by Kang's powers. The red-haired boy was very upset because he almost managed to land his blow. Kang seems to be at the peak of his powers. Helena said that guy is an idiot. He can only resurrect during the day. If he dies at night, he dies for real. After dealing with the one who revives, Kang approached the other ability users. Helena asked why he is attacking the travelers he should protect, and how he took over that body. The administrator said he betrayed all of them, and the shared memories were all lies. His plan was to promote Kang's awakening. Even Kim played a brilliant role in this plan. Helena was impressed by this. Kang had no offensive ability whatsoever. The administrator said he received special authority from those people and has been unlocking that boy's potential imperceptibly. The result is truly impressive. This body is much more powerful than Kim's, on whom they depend so much. The administrator said they don't know the true intentions of those people, and he was chosen to execute the plan. He will end all travelers and close that destiny. Helena told him to shut up. The founders representing the council would never allow something like this. Since she doesn't believe it, it's time to show it in practice. The administrator tried to attack, but Kim prevented it from happening. The two rivals now observe each other menacingly. Kim is trying hard to hold that attack. However, the administrator said he forgot about the other hand, and using his power, caused great damage to that building. Kim had to start flying to defend against that, immediately using the debris as weapons. But the administrator manages to defend against that, mocking the simplicity of the attack. Increasing his energy hand, he initiated a dangerous attack, but Kim managed to ignore it efficiently. He is now approaching his opponent's throat. The administrator moves away from him calmly, revealing that such an attack won't work against him. Joining both hands, or what's left of them, the administrator executed an attack. Our protagonist's hand was pushed back. He realized the mental force he was exerting seems to have been nullified or repelled. The administrator said he is as surprised as he is. No one expected Kang to be so strong. Kim began to worry. His psychic power might not work against that enemy. This is very bad. His whole body started to tremble. He took the opportunity to ask why a time loop doesn't happen when he kills people. The administrator said he is not human, just borrowed that body. Kim didn't understand why that person was chosen. If the goal was to kill, he is a much better tool. The administrator said it has nothing to do with him. This is a secret project that the council is also unaware of. Our protagonist is just getting in the way. He is a defective item, out of control. But the administrator promised to put him out of his misery, sending his energy hands against him. Kim realized that attack could be fatal, but the result achieved was not what the administrator desired, who began to feel great pressure throughout his body. Jin is already using his hood, assisting in the battle with his abilities. Kim realized he is being assisted in that combat. The girl who makes knives in her hands is approaching. She started an interrogation. It's time for this administrator to tell everything, or he will end up dying. Mocking her, the administrator said the time loop defends him. Even our protagonist is worried about this, but Helena said the enemy must be neutralized, and they will take care of the punishment. Our protagonist is very irritated. Only that girl with the mask can be useful now. The girl with the knives decided she would start killing her enemy. A lot of blood ended up flying through the air. Unexpectedly, the administrator managed to attack the bald man fatally. No one knows how he managed to move like that. It was then that the administrator said he received great authority. He was chosen by the founder. The girl with the knives is very worried about the bald man's health, but he told her to just wait a little longer. Finally, the red-haired boy appeared, ready to use his sword. However, the instrument was thrown far away. He was also captured by the administrator's power, who mocked him, saying the boy is very noisy. It didn't take long for him to notice another approach. The woman with the knives managed to make an attack, cutting off the administrator's head, but a time loop immediately occurred. She felt that time had gone backward, as did our protagonist. Unfortunately, fatal attacks will not be useful in this battle, and the administrator will take advantage of this. He managed to attack the girl with the knives. Completely furious, the bald man advanced mercilessly, but the administrator was already fully prepared for that. It was the red-haired boy's turn to attack as well, but like his companions, he was finished. Helena is falling into despair, and our protagonist watches everything very attentively. That administrator seems to be having a lot of fun with all this carnage. Attacking again, the administrator managed to hit one of Helena's clones. Faced with danger, they decided to flee that region. But the administrator would not allow that to happen. He is managing to finish off all his victims. Kim used his powers to interfere in one of their lives. The administrator found it hilarious, someone like our protagonist saving a life. He also started sending various debris in the administrator's direction. Showing that the attack is no longer effective, The administrator asked if the protagonist knows how to do anything else. Kim increased the intensity of his powers once more, managing to push his enemy away. The speed was so great that he ended up crashing into the nearby building. Kim is looking intently at the hole left in the concrete. His opponent appeared once more and seems determined to continue this battle. The administrator approaches dangerously. Kim uses his powers once again to defend himself. That battle seems like nothing to the administrator. The two are now dangerously close, and the villain managed to throw our protagonist to the ground. The force of that impact was truly impressive. Kim just broke one of his arms. Mocking our boy, the administrator asked once again if he has another trick. Psychic powers will not work. Knowing this is true, the protagonist began to get very angry. But he knows there is still something to be tried. This is his last option. The administrator thought our boy had given up the fight. Since he's doing nothing, it's time to finish him off. But a single stone began to move in the air. The administrator was surprised because the trajectory of that stone is not directed at him. Kim just injured himself severely. Triggering the time loop, he wishes to go back in time, to before the administrator took over that body. Our protagonist injured himself once again. He continues repeating the same action. Time is going further and further back. Returning to Helena's company, she noticed that our boy is not feeling very well, but he flew away without giving any details about what happened. However, his body is quite weakened. He needed to stop to catch his breath. He also doesn't know when the possession happened or how far back he needs to go. His energy is depleting rapidly. The administrator continues destroying the city. Using Kang's body, all of this is too easy. He watches as explosions happen and lives are destroyed. People are being thrown through the air. Kim realized he hadn't gone back far enough. A person's body fell in front of him. Still in agony, she asked for help. He is completely incredulous about all of this. His heart began to beat intensely. A flashback just happened. Our protagonist is just a child. He brought his pet rat to the playground. His childhood friend said that was very dangerous. But our protagonist wanted to show something really cool. He immediately began to use his powers, and someone told him not to do that. The other boy was the one who said that, hugging our protagonist, who was still trying to use that power. For a second, the other boy had disappeared, until his body finally fell to the ground, making a loud noise. The young protagonist is still in his superior instinct form, but he soon realized what had happened. His young friend is gravely injured. Not understanding what had happened, he fell into despair. Revisiting these memories made our protagonist very irritated. As his body is very weakened, he coughed a few more times. Looking at that person who needs help, Kim used the strength he still had to break a large piece of concrete, which was used to turn it into pate. Once again, he returns to the past. His body is becoming increasingly compromised. He managed to identify that same person who ended up being killed. She is now being transported into the air. Our protagonist placed her in a safe location, and ended up being surprised by this. He used the little strength he has to do something useless. Kim seems to be embracing madness. A guy like him helping others, that's too stupid. A light appeared in the middle of the darkness, with several confused voices. He is talking to the one responsible for the time loop. It is still early for humans to possess a transcendental power. They are very naive beings, but with his sacrifice, the founder saw the potential of this species. Our protagonist does not know what is being offered to him, and the founder said he will undo everything he has done so far, that which made his life more difficult. Kim woke up quite startled. It seemed like a nightmare. Our boy began to look at his own hands. He started to concentrate. Kang had already been a victim of that accident and lost his arms. The leader of the thugs is about to cause that great catastrophe. Little Kang's mother is suffering at the hands of the bandits. The corrupt administrator watches everything with joy. Kang needs to be pressured even more. That's when she felt an unexpected presence. Kim just arrived at that place. The administrator knows he should be at school. Our boy pointed a shard of glass in her direction and asked what the founder's goal is, that idiot. Asking our boy to calm down, she stated that all of this is for the good of humanity. The founder will free them all from tourism. Kim asked why she is acting alone. She said the founder needs to observe the council. She needs to do everything in secrecy, and chose Kang as a vessel because he went unnoticed by everyone. Kim only lost the fight in the hospital because his power was unlocked. Our boy asked where her headquarters is. The administrator replied that it is in a hotel in the capital. Kim wants to know if the council members are in that place. The administrator said no, but sometimes they have some parties. Afraid of being annihilated, the administrator suggested they join forces. Besides the founder's orders, she doesn't care about human life, but our protagonist just wants her to die. The shard of glass began to get very close to her forehead, but time stopped. The founder just appeared to her. Quite worried, the administrator said the timing was perfect and asked if she had done something wrong. He said she worked very well and came there to thank her. The decision to use her was very good. The administrator didn't like this. The founder said he never gave that order to her. Quite confused, she asked who did it. The founder said it was someone who cares a lot about humanity. Completely confused, the administrator tries to say she did everything she was ordered to do, but the founder turned his back on her, leaving her in despair. He said there is no need for concern, as she will return to life. Time returned to normal, and the shard of glass pierced her head. Our protagonist fulfilled his objective, but Kang still remains in agony, without arms, and now, without his mother. Kim just observes the despair of that boy. His cries of despair fill that place, until a mysterious glow appeared. Kim decided to reveal his presence. Kang asked if he is involved in all of this. Without the strength to continue fighting, Kang asked for everything to stop. He is nothing anymore, not even possessing arms. Kim said he still doesn't know the potential he has and should keep trying, as he could be stronger than him. Kang didn't understand any of these words, but the protagonist stated they would fight again when the right time comes. Full of doubts and questions, Kang watches as our protagonist leaves, but this boy seems very weakened. The administrator seems to have returned to life, her plans completely ruined by the protagonist. As our boy moves away through the air, someone asked the founder why he created a creature like Kang, only in that universe. The founder said our protagonist has the hardest character among all. This is the best way to rehabilitate him. The servant believes a direct intervention from the founder would be much better. However, the founder believes in free will. He asked if his servant now understands the origin of these supernatural powers, and he said they found a mysterious energy in the deceased bodies. When combined, they resemble those puzzle pieces. By putting some pieces together, the image of a tree appeared. The founder asked if there is such a large tree at their destination. Perhaps it means they have been in a tree all this time, which grants powers to humanity. Our protagonist knows she is still being watched. Her desire is to escape this control. It is now that her true struggle will begin.